Virtual care anywhere.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Feens radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to agoristhosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST, hosting.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Foodforliberty.com sells high-quality, storable foods from New Manna. And right now, take advantage of our summer special. Purchase 2 family packs and we'll send you a Pro Pure Water Pitcher, a $70 value, free. This premium pitcher is ideal for use with just about any water source and removes more contaminants than other brands. And it comes with a filter that lasts up to 2 full years. Whether you need to be prepared in the event of an emergency, you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, New Manna is known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, super nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. And with a 25-year shelf life, you can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. Go to foodforliberty.com right now for great-tasting, high-quality, storable foods from New Manna. Buy 2 family packs and get the Pro Pure Water Pitcher free. It makes good sense to be prepared. Get it at foodforliberty.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. It's a live Wednesday edition of Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
Joel. And Jay.
You can call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. We've been talking about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, Dash, and Liberty Lover just called in to talk about borders and property rights and, sort of see how those two mesh. And I think it's worth a conversation worth having. Since we're talking about crypto, I think it's worth mentioning also that you can save between 20 and 35%, 33%, something like that. 33% at saveatpurse.com. But you need cryptocurrency, you need Bitcoin in order to be able to do it. Just go there to saveatpurse.com, create an account, and use your Bitcoin to buy the things that you buy on Amazon every day. Saveatpurse.com. We've saved hundreds in our house. It's like getting a raise. You're saving 20% on things on Amazon. Saveatpurse.com. Let's go back to Liberty Lover. If you're calling in on Skype, I will get to you, but I can only take one at a time, just so you know.
All right, we just going to continue where we left off there?
Yeah, we are. So I'm going to reset so that everybody knows what we're talking about. One thing that you called in asking about borders and sort of what the difference is between borders and property. And then we kind of went on to property. So I like to separate these two because to talk about borders is not to talk about property. People will often say, well, what if somebody comes into your house and sits down and starts eating your cornflakes? Well, that's different than somebody coming into the United States and wanting to work hard and, make a better life for their family. The difference is that, when you're talking about a collection of properties, which is what the United States is, not everybody agrees. So let me ask you this, Liberty Lover. Should I be able to invite somebody from Mexico, Syria, you pick North Korea, Somalia, wherever it is. Should I be able to invite somebody to my house to stay there and live on the property, maybe do some farm work, fix my shed, that kind of thing?
Of course. It's nobody else's business but yours.
Excellent. Then how are they going to get there without crossing this border that somehow I've agreed to?
How are they going to get there? Well, at the moment, they would have to go through the naturalization process. I'm not really in favor of that. I'm for open borders. But the original question was, okay, so the reason I asked what separates private property and what separates borders is who can really enforce either?
Well, I guess
you have the permission to use force on your own property, just the same way the Department of Homeland Security has permission to use force throughout the entire country, for example.
I don't think the force is the same, but I don't think the Department of Homeland Security has permission to do it. They just do it.
Yeah, I'm sure that I don't think the Department of Homeland Security is authorized by the Constitution. The Constitution's pretty specific on what it authorizes, and a military certainly. Militaries would handle border disputes ultimately, and that is something that's authorized by the Constitution. But all these alphabet soup agencies that are out there, I don't see them as being necessarily authorized by the Constitution. But nonetheless, I agree with what the concept that you're talking about, and that's something that I've acknowledged here on the show. I think that there's it's been brought up by liberal type callers that property is violence. The very fact that you claim for something for yourself and you say, I will use violence to protect this thing as mine, is essentially a threat upon somebody who would take it. And it is. It's a conditional threat.
Yes, let me reinforce that, in fact, by saying the body integrity is violence, right? If you want to have the right to consent to anything, for example, sexual activity, if you think you have that right, then that's enforced by violence, right? Because of what happens if a rapist comes after you. You got to fight him off in some way, some violent manner. So the right to anything is, I guess, ultimately backed by some sort of a threat of violence if someone would take that right from you by violence, right?
Yep. Well, go ahead. Basically, I was thinking about this because I saw an interview that had been done with Daryl Perry and Sam Cedar one time. Daryl suggested that there would be agencies that would issue deeds without government. Well, what happens when one agency issues a deed to somebody else, for example, and it doesn't go along with the other agencies? How do we know which one is correct without some governing body?
I can give you the answer to that question as it would be answered by somebody who would, support these ideas. It's not my obligation to know what would happen in a future where there are no state agencies, but I will, go ahead and give you the best answer I got is there'll be arbitration organizations. We currently have courts, so there'll be something akin to a court where these organizations would get a ruling, and then that ruling would be enforced by, you called it, violence.
And I have personal experience with this very topic. Agencies issuing deeds. For example, and Mark, you were down there, you saw this piece of paper when they had that eviction from my house, and you and Ian and a few other folks came down. I showed you guys all a judgment from Land Court, Massachusetts Land Court, found for the town of Palmer, and the judgment has no signature on it. It doesn't even have the seal of the court. That same, and it is the one I got a certified copy out of the Hampden County Registry of Deeds. If somebody wants to go Hampden County Registry of Deeds, that's Massachusetts, and they want to Google Joseph Noon, Bondsville, Mass., they will find this deed. I mean, this basically what the town uses evidence in my eviction hearing that they own the property was his judgment from land court that bears no signature. And Massachusetts land court judgments have no signature on them. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, it's like an unsigned check, but the cops follow it because, their bureaucrat buddies say, hey, this is cool. Or, well, the town's lawyer says, hey, this is cool because, all these governmental agencies are ran vicariously by the lawyers because all the town selectmen and the cops and everybody with the guns, they all listen to the lawyers.
Well, currently, there's all kinds of disputes. This is the reason you have to have a title check when you sell property is There's disputes to land all the time. We have, usually a monopoly organization that allows people to register their deeds or whatever, and it's still a mess. Go ahead, Liberty Lover.
I would agree that it can be a bit of a mess at times. I'm currently in the process of buying a house, so I'm slightly familiar with it. Another reason I asked this is I was speaking to somebody in the IRC chat. I don't know if you guys read that on LRN.FM, but he was telling me
chat.freetalklive.com.
No, I listen on LRN.FM.
I think it's the same chat.
You think so? All right. I was completely unsure.
Chat.lrn.fm. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what I was talking to some guy yesterday, and he was telling me, well, we can just go back to how it used to be hundreds of years ago. If you're lucky enough to get to the land first, you defend it with all the force you'd like to and keep other people off of it.
Yeah. Let me give you an example,
to me.
Right? A lot of this kind of stuff when we're talking about voluntary law, right? Law in a society where you don't have a central authority coming in with its iron fist and enforcing what it says. Look to international law, right? So let's talk about China. When China was, overrun by communists or however you want to say that, for the longest time, the Republic of China, right, Taiwan, maintained it was the legitimate government of China, right? And the People's Republic of China maintained it was the legitimate government of mainland China. And they both went on that for decades and decades, and obviously not everyone in the international community agreed with one or the other, and still to this day, right? And it wasn't until fairly recently that Taiwan finally said, okay, yeah, we just own this little island here. And finally everyone, and then if you think about the Israel-Palestine situation, which please let's not talk about that too much because that's always a mess to talk about. But there's a bunch of different countries that recognize Israel's legitimacy, and there's a bunch that don't. And ultimately, when there's a force in play, which there is, of course, there's guns on both sides, there tends to be a stalemate until over time, a peaceful consensus kind of comes out. So I think we'd see a lot more of that with property disputes in a voluntary society.
Thanks for the call, Liberty Lover. I appreciate it. And call back with more questions. It's been a great call. The number's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Here on Free Talk Live, we'll talk about the imaginary future in a voluntary world. We're fine with it. 855-450-FREE.
Bitcoin.com is the most unique online destination in the Bitcoin universe. Buying Bitcoin? Do it here. Want to speak your mind to other Bitcoin users? Our forum is always open and censorship-free at forum.bitcoin.com. There's no bigger Bitcoin believers than the Bitcoin.com team. That's why this site is a one-stop shop for everything you need to get into Bitcoin life. You can also play games at games.bitcoin.com. Learn more at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
We all know that Berkey water purification systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey water filtration systems. The Berkey Light systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light system today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com today.
All experts agreed this week that the dying U.S. economy is no reason at all to stop investing in print media, calling the newspaper and magazine industry a veritable cash cow with massive potential for growth. Top experts everywhere said that aggressive investment in print media will pay off in spades, and that newsprint is in no way threatened by internet news sites or online video content. Besides, everyone in the know agreed, loyal readers of newspapers would never, ever in a million years turn their back on the trusted print media industry that has always been there for them in good times and bad.
This is the Onion News Network. It's the Onion Radio News. I'm Doyle Redland. Cardiologists announced today that test subjects who took a single aspirin tablet followed by a fifth of bonded Kentucky bourbon were 85% less likely to realize they were having a heart attack. Potential side effects for the new treatment include slurred speech, impaired vision, and vomiting. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in 1 application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin. mymagicmud.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Talk Live. It's a live Wednesday edition of Free Talk Live. We've got a special guest host in the studio today. It's Joel from Dash Force.
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. Thanks for sitting in, Joel. And
Jay.
Thanks, Jay. So you can call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. We've been talking about, well, the voluntarism and cryptocurrencies, basically. And I think that's what Ben in Canada wants to talk about. Let's go to Ben. You're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was going along the same lines as a Liberty Lover with my question. I'm just going to leave the floor open after it. Is voluntarism theoretically possible if the wealthiest members of the society do not believe in the non-aggression principle?
So if there was a truly voluntarious society, as opposed to just the idea that somebody could opt out of any given government program or whatever, right? If it was a fully voluntarious society, if the wealthiest people decide that they're not going to act so nice, right? The evil Bill Gates scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that it's it makes it difficult. It's difficult to know what would happen if somebody tries to get together a little army and force people to do what they want. But one of the things about armies that's special is the flag. It's a special icon. People are willing to take something less than minimum wage, to sleep in the mud and fight and die for this icon, whereas if you ask them to do the same job for a company, they would be far, far less likely to do it. Do you kind of catch my drift as far as soldiering?
There's a certain type of psychopath that likes working for Blackwater and doing mercenary stuff.
Most of them were
former military.
Absolutely. And they're getting paid significantly better at Blackwater than they were getting paid at the military. And that's just the point I'm trying to make. Does that make sense to you, Ben?
Yep.
And what Blackwater does is they bring in a far superior force as far as firepower goes in a given situation, and they're not in danger in the same, they're not usually taking on a force, and if they are, they're in far better positioning and they're far better armed. If the evil Bill Gates, and I don't know, this is insider libertarian terminology.
Sorry, Mr. Gates.
Sorry, Mr. Gates. I'll use the term evil billionaire. If the evil billionaire decides he wants to take over a given, geographic area, it's also difficult because today, if you want to take over a country, there's one place where you have to raise your flag in order to prove that you took it over, and that's the Capitol. You got to find the chief executive office, and you got to run your flag up that flagpole and say, I now run this place. But in a voluntarist society, there wouldn't be a capital. So you may be able to subjugate people on their property or whatever, but you're going to have to use force constantly. It's expensive, and people aren't going to want to fight and die for you because, you can't spend that great soldier cash that you would get if you're dead.
Yes, let me sort of jump into the math equation there, right? So you're hiring these expensive mercenaries who are willing to take a significant or partial physical risk in order for a lot of money, right? Then you go against people who have nothing, who have their backs against the wall. Poor people are willing to fight pretty hard for what they have because that's all they got.
They do real well. They're still doing well in Afghanistan.
Yes.
Afghanistan was able to fight off the greatest militaries, 3 of the greatest militaries the world has ever known in the last century. The greatest militaries on the planet, they fought them off as what? Nothing.
Yes.
Armed with nothing.
Now, if you look at per capita GDP, Afghanistan is usually one of those tied for the bottom. It's one of the poorest countries in the world. The United States is arguably the richest country in the world. And obviously, decades with no victory, no clear-cut victory, no permanent victory. The only reason the U.S. is able to do that is because the investors, right, the people, aren't able to have a choice in how their money is spent. If it was someone spending their own money, not other people's money, how long do you think they'd last with this kind of fruitless war?
Well, not only that, they're also spending money that doesn't exist. They're just, creating this money to fund this war. And a whole other element is for Bill Gates, for example, if, say, for the last 40 years...
We're leaving Bill Gates alone. We're going with Billionaire. The evil
Billionaire Bob.
Billionaire Bob, for the last 40 years or even 50 years, if we had a real free market, these billionaires would not exist. I think, using the other guy as an example is good because he invented a very good product.
Okay.
And what's he worth? $600-something billion. I don't know, or something crazy.
A lot of it has to do with patents.
And he would probably be worth $60 billion if it wasn't for the protectionism of government. I mean, I don't know these numbers. It's just I'm throwing it out there. But these evil billionaires could not exist without government protectionism. If it was a free market, they would still be very wealthy people, but they wouldn't be at the power they're at now. And today, them guys are just the ones buying government. Quite simple.
Ben, thoughts?
I feel like my question was answered, so thank you very much.
Certainly. Thanks for the call. I have great deal of sympathy for what I call them cops, courts, roads, and soldiers, libertarians. The minarchists out there is another terminology people use to sort of shorten it up. Because I was that for years, and I'm not entirely sure that I'm not that now. The difference between a person who would be called a minarchist, a person who wants the smallest form of government that we can find, and a voluntarist is belief. As you said, it's faith, Joel.
Yes, the belief structure between, I guess, a hardcore anarchist and a minarchist is exactly the same. The difference is the facts presented, right? The situation we're in. Now, if you do get to a point where someone can be fully convinced that you can do without government, right? You can have a society with no government and other ways, voluntary ways of dealing with this. At that point, anyone who's still a minarchist is really just a microstatist. They're not, they just want a small government, but they don't want the minimal government. So a minarchist and an anarchist end up being the same thing in time.
And I consider myself an anarchist, and I do support the minarchist.
I hate the term. Go ahead.
And, you know, because in the end, we all want the same goal. We just want to be left alone.
Let's go to the phones. We've got Virgil, a good friend of the show, here on Free Talk Live. Virgil, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, buddy.
Good evening, guys. How are you?
All's well.
Wonderful.
Hi, Joel.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, guys. So I heard that you were talking about Dash earlier, and I'm calling because I have a serious problem with Dash, as I've made it clear in the past.
Oh, goodness.
I believe Dash is largely a scam, and for many reasons. There are quite a few pieces written out there by people that are a lot smarter than me, kind of outlining why that is. So I'm kind of calling to warn out people before they actually drop any money in Dash.
All right, so my first response to that is, of course, Merriam-Webster, right? Look up the dictionary definition of the word scam. What does it say?
I don't know.
It's
I don't know. I don't have a dictionary in front of me.
Yes, so that's a good thing about smartphones and computers is it's pretty instantly.
I can look it up, but it's still taking me longer than your question.
So I'll summarize for people that just don't want to go link searching. A scam implies taking other people's money, right? Stealing other people's money under false pretenses / deception. For example, if I was going to say, look, I got this working firearm. It's going to work for you. It's going to be great for personal defense. And I sell it to you. And then you take it, and there's a burglar that jumps into your house, and then you click it, and it just doesn't work, and you get, beat up and robbed. You got scammed, right? Someone sold you something. They said it worked. It doesn't work, and they took your money.
All right. So instead of scam, would, let's see, snake oil work out better? Because Greg Maxwell, who is a guy that's, a lot smarter than me. I probably couldn't even carry a conversation out with a guy. Just 2 days ago, he's a Bitcoin core dev team guy. He called Dash snake oil. All right.
He said a lot of interesting things too.
What does that mean when he says snake oil? I mean, it seems to. I've sent it. I've sold things with it. It seems to work.
Right. It works, of course. It's just a Bitcoin clone.
Yep.
It's not. It's not something that doesn't work. It functions at its mark as it is marketed, but it's also marketed as a anonymous or pseudo anonymous coin, and it's not. Dash is cryptographically insecure. It is not anonymous by any stretch.
When you say cryptographically insecure, do you mean that it is less secure than Bitcoin?
Absolutely, I believe it is, because it's when you tell someone that they can use Dash to create and initiate anonymous transactions online, and in fact it doesn't do such a thing, that's a pretty dangerous thing, because what you end up creating a market of people that may end up trading in things that are potentially considered illegal, say drugs, for example, and they end up being caught or being tracked by authorities or unsavvy individuals online. So that's a pretty dangerous thing.
And what are your other disputes with Dash? I want to make sure that we get them all addressed here on the air.
Yeah, we can. If you guys are going to a break, we can talk about it.
It's going to be a long over the top of the hour break.
Okay, it's fine.
Okay. The number's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
Everyone has something in their lives or just about themselves that they want to change, from trying to lose weight to becoming more motivated at work. Change is difficult, but the good news is no matter what, you don't have to go through it alone. Hypnotherapy can help you remove negative subconscious thoughts that keep you from achieving your goals. Never rely on just willpower again. Contact us at afterhourshypnotherapy.com today for your free consultation. Or contact Melvin Marsh at 678-658-8483.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, May 3rd, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.86 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,256 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 2.2 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $1,466. Antiwar.com reports polling shows Democratic Party Korea candidate Moon Jae-in as an overwhelming front-runner in the upcoming presidential vote with more than double the support of any other candidate. He is, however, seen as far from ideal from the U.S. perspective, favoring diplomacy with North Korea as he does. The split between Moon and Trump is so dramatic, in fact, that Moon has felt the need to publicly warn the U.S. about meddling in the nation's politics, not just directly in the election itself, but also with policy decisions made in the lead-up to the election. Indeed, Moon and his allies warn that the biggest problem is the U.S. rushing through measures in the lame duck government ahead of the election, noting that agreements on things like the THAAD anti-missile system and then hastily putting the system in place before any public hearing or environmental assessment were allowed to take place. Analysts even suggest that President Trump's talks of making South Korea pay for the THAAD might help Moon because he is seen as more likely to stand up to the U.S. on the deployment and doesn't feel particularly wedded to any agreements on the deployment which were made in the post-impeachment pre-election environment specifically to avoid real political debate.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
UPI reports the U.S. Department of Justice will not file charges against 2 police officers involved in the controversial shooting death of Alton Sterling in Louisiana last year. Video of the incident showed Sterling pinned to the ground by arresting officers before multiple shots were fired. The video prompted widespread protest and an investigation by the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division. Federal prosecutors, though, don't feel there's enough evidence to file civil rights charges against the officers in the case. Sources familiar with the department's decision confirmed the news on Tuesday. East Baton Rouge Mayor-President Sharon Weston Broome said she was appalled to hear of the DOJ's decision from news reports without a formal decision being relayed to the Sterling family first. Early on Tuesday, Michael T. Slager, a former South Carolina police officer who fatally shot motorist Walter Scott 2 years ago in another high-profile case, pled guilty as part of an agreement with federal prosecutors. Under that deal, Slager pled guilty to a single count of excessive force to deprive Scott of his civil rights. He is expected to be sentenced later this year.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports the National Security Agency collected more than 150 million records of Americans' phone calls last year, even after Congress supposedly limited its ability to collect bulk phone records, according to an annual report issued on Tuesday by the top U.S. intelligence officer. The report from the Office of Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coates, was the first measure of the effects of the 2015 USA Freedom Act, which supposedly limited the NSA's ability to collect phone records and contacts of people the NSA and allied intelligence agencies suspect may have ties to terrorism. The report found that the NSA collected the 150 million records even though it had warrants from the secret Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court to spy on only 42 suspects in 2016, in addition to a handful identified the previous year. The report came as Congress faced a decision on whether to reauthorize Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which permits the NSA to collect foreign intelligence information on non-U.S. persons outside the U.S. and is scheduled to expire at the end of this year. The report did not address how frequently the FBI obtained information about Americans while investigating a foreign intelligence matter, however. On Friday, the NSA said it had stopped a form of surveillance that allowed it to collect the digital communications of Americans who mentioned a foreign intelligence target in their messages without a warrant. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
The number of users who actually enjoy Facebook is down to 4. And Apple announces a new iPhone with the N-word on the back, knowing customers will buy it anyway. And now for the delayed and utterly thoughtless romantic gesture that is the Onion Week in Review. Self-identified 9/11 truther Dennis Shaw told reporters Tuesday he's absolutely convinced the United States government has orchestrated an intricate plot to systematically destroy the last 11 years of his life. Shaw, who since 2001 has spent nearly every waking minute poring over footage of the World Trade Center attack and even handing out truther pamphlets every afternoon, says the government is behind the gradual collapse of his personal and professional life, adding that the conspiracy, quote, goes all the way to the top.
Before 2001, I'd see my friend Stephen Copley every couple of weeks, and now he won't even answer my calls. The government got to him too. Think about it. My coworkers, my wife, my friends, everyone calling me crazy after September 11th and wanting nothing to do with me. What are the chances of that?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. It is the live Wednesday edition. And you can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. The number, I'll give it to you here in just a minute. But it's Mark with you.
Joel.
And Jay.
Free Talk Live. We were talking about Dash, which is it's going to be a new sponsor here on Free Talk Live. It's also a cryptocurrency. I guess you'd call it a competitor to Bitcoin, but, maybe progeny of Bitcoin. There's so many different currencies out there. I wouldn't, at any point, I'm not prepared to say Dash is better than Bitcoin or Bitcoin's better than Dash or any of these things because I don't have the chops from a programming standpoint to be able to talk about that stuff. I can tell you that Bitcoin has 500 times, and that's just an arbitrary number I picked out because the amount of market penetration they have is just phenomenal compared to the next closest coin that's out there, token or whatever. But they're having some of their market share from the standpoint of the market cap, which means how much Bitcoin's worth versus all the rest of the altcoins. That's changing a little bit. Virgil Vaduva, he is a good friend of the show and crypto like a security guy, internet security guy, and he's not a big fan of Dash. And so you're pointing out some of the difficulties. Virgil, welcome back to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having I mean, now I feel bad because I'm apparently calling to bash one of your sponsors.
Hey, I don't. That's not how Free Talk Live works. So Free Talk Live, we talk about anything, and being a sponsor on Free Talk Live means that we're going to, people are going to have opinions. And
sure. Look, I am not.
Hold on. You made some accusations about Dash, and I just want Joel to have an opportunity. Joel's visiting here, Joel Valenzuela from Dash Force. He's sort of doing guest hosting situation, and some of the things that Joel, the points that Virgil made. If you'd like to rebuttals.
Yes. So, good thing about private send, right? So Dash has a privacy function called Private Send, right? It's been around for a few years, and it has absolutely never, ever, ever been broken, never been de-anonymized. In fact, there is a running de-anonymization contest since February 27th of 2016, where someone donated $1 worth of Dash to the Monero development team, right? 0.25 Dash. That was $1 back in the day, right? Gives a transaction ID to Shapeshift, which is then converted to Monero, and that went through, I believe, 4 rounds of mixing of a possible 8 rounds, right? And there's a challenge an outstanding challenge to de-anonymize that, find out what was the origin transaction, where did it come from, what wallet did it come from. To this day, there's not been a single successful attempt to de-anonymize.
What's the bounty on this?
I can't see right off the bat.
Let's presume it's large.
Yes. There is an ongoing bounty for that to be collected.
Okay.
And of course, there's all the props in the world if you manage to successfully de-anonymize the world's first great private coins transaction.
Virgil?
Yeah, so the problem with dark send, and I'm not, by the way, I'm not a Dash expert, and I have no desire to be a Dash expert. I've never read any of their white papers, just glanced over them. I tend to, in this market, rely on people that are cryptographers, are mathematicians, and kind of listen to their expert advice. Mostly, I make judgment on my own as well. The problem with DarkSend, which is now called PrivateSend, is that it relies heavily on liquidity on the Dash network, right? And what Dash has right now is something that it's a liquidity problem. You have a network where an artificial scarcity has been created by locking in. I don't remember what it was. Last I looked, like 60% of equity or 60% of Dash in circulation is kind of locked into master nodes. So that's an issue right off the bat.
Isn't that the same problem that Bitcoin has, though? I mean, I've heard that 90%, and I don't know what the numbers are, but I just heard things like 90% of Bitcoin's coins are just basically sitting in accounts and they're not doing anything.
That's a problem. And that's a problem. And that's why if you ever use any mixing services, you need to use a mixing pool that has a large amount of Bitcoin liquid to mix. And that's exactly the problem that Dash is suffering from. There's really no, it's a dangerous problem. And when you have a low pool to mix out of, you're going to run into major problems. And to call just plain coin mixing, anonymous or private, it's outrageous. You're actually better off using Bitcoin mixing. Bitcoin mixing, just standard Bitcoin mixing services are safer and better to use than Dash mixing, if you ask me.
I hate the idea of those things. I just can't trust it. I'm sorry, Virgil. I mean, just the concept of sending my coins to someplace and, hey, mix these up with some other coins and then send them on. I trust you.
Guess what? Mark, there is a currency out there called Monero, and they have solved this problem because mixing is actually built into the protocol. Unlike Dash, Monero doesn't have master nodes, Monero doesn't have a scarcity problem, and doesn't have issues associated with traditional Bitcoin mixing services. So this is
I'm not going to come down, Virgil, I'm not going to come down one side or the other on this Monero Dash debate because I think that what we have to see is how things go. I think that I hold Monero. I like Monero, and I'm not going to diss Monero. I hold Bitcoin, I like Bitcoin, and I'm not going to diss Bitcoin. And at this point with Dash, it seems like the Chevy guys talking to the Ford guys, and the whole found on the road dead, and versus you guys and your Hemis and whatever it is. It's Dodge.
Come on,
go ahead.
It's worse than that. It's really not like that at all because Dash. If you read the Dash paper, Dash specifically promises complete anonymity to users and complete fungibility. Both of these statements are blatantly false. So That's my complaint with this. If Dash would come out, if Dash team would come out and say, hey, guys, we are lacking in certain areas and we're working on fixing these problems, I would be on board with it. But they're not doing that.
Joel, what's fungibility?
Well, it means that one unit of currency is equal to the other, basically. As in, it's not like, oh, I would take these dollars but not the other ones, right? Because these ones have like trace amounts of cocaine on them or whatever it is that make that different.
Is it, do all the cryptocurrencies have that fungibility? I don't understand.
Well, so you see, every single cryptocurrency operates on a blockchain, and so there is a transaction history that links where did this go before then? Where was the transaction been? What address to what address? What address? Every single cryptocurrency out there has one of these, right? And so the thing that would make that fungible, right, would be making a coin so that its history is not known or not relevant, right? Of course, unfortunately, you will never have a cryptocurrency that is exactly like cash where you cannot tell the history. Although with cash, if you do fingerprints for it, right, even cash is not entirely fungible if you really went down to that level, but for practical purposes, right? So it's about, can you link the past transactions, right? Linkability, right?
So the possibility is that that somebody spent the Dash token that I receive selling some Free Talk Live ads, and somebody at one point in the past used that to buy something illegal on Silk Road, and that somehow the government would then be upset at that particular piece of computer software. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, possibly.
Okay. So is that the issue, Virgil? Does that sound right to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that creates problems. There are already startups out there, Mark, that basically are dealing with mining mining is not the right word. Basically analyzing the Bitcoin blockchain. They're selling services to the DEA and federal agencies.
Yeah, blockchain analysis.
Yeah, blockchain allows that. Yep.
Yeah. Right. So the problem is, again, fungibility is important, and just like Joel is saying, and I agree with him, all cryptocurrencies to some extent suffer of this problem, but some are better at obfuscating history and making it extremely, extremely difficult for someone who does blockchain analysis to identify where a coin has been used.
But at this point, there's this bounty that sits on this currency that was sent through this bounty that exists that says, "Hey, figure out where this transaction came from," and
link it.
It hasn't been taken.
Link it to its past. And that
we'll put that up at facebook.freetalklive.com so that any one of our listeners can go and get that bounty. I'm very interested in all this. Virgil, thank you. Thank you for the call.
Love you guys. Take care.
Please feel free to call in the future. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. I guess I'm going to have to become an expert on Dash really quickly. 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-940-9829. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-940-9829. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-940-9829. That's 1-800-940-9829.
Hello?
Congratulations.
For what?
For losing all that weight. How'd you do it so fast?
ASAP.
ASAP what? What's that mean?
Are you ready to get as skinny as possible, as soon as possible, as simple as possible, and as sexy as possible?
I'm listening.
Then get with the ASAP program. It's real and it works. No smooth talk, no slick advertising, and no exaggerated claims of success.
I've got to know more.
Welcome to ASAP, as slim as possible. Whether you have 10, 20, or 50 pounds to lose, ASAP
is your weight loss answer. ASAP targets the abnormal fat reserves and makes them available to be burned as fuel and contains no caffeine or hormones. Order ASAP at wholesale prices or join the team to share the business with others. Visit GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. Lose weight and look great with ASAP, as slim as possible.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu, 641-793-9660. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. It's the live Wednesday edition of Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
And Joel.
And Jay.
And Joel's sitting in from Dash Force, and he's been answering some questions we have on this relatively new cryptocurrency called Dash. Now, I'm not going to pretend for a second like there isn't some kind of large dispute among the most well-informed nerds in the cryptocurrency world as to which one is best and which one isn't. I can't answer those questions. I've developed some opinions, but my opinions are, they're just not as good as other people's. I want to open the dialogue. I think we're going to find out over time what the best currencies are. And that's what I hope to do here on Free Talk Live. And if you're interested in, Dash, please, and these extra cryptocurrencies, please call in and ask your questions. The number's 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Talk about it here in just 1 second, but I want to tell you about Freedom's Phoenix. It's a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. If you want the newest and freshest stories and perspective on current events from those who value liberty, freedomsphoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. Freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. Freedomsphoenix.com. So, Joel, we've talked about one sort of dispute between with Dash as far as maybe they use this mixing thing, and when there's not enough coin volume, that it's not as secure as it could be. But that problem will probably be solved as Dash gets used as a currency in the future, right?
Yeah, so more importantly, it's not a problem. I don't understand how it's framed as a problem. Okay. It's sort of like saying, oh, Bitcoin will become a problem when it's just too expensive for anyone to buy any units of, even the smallest denomination. It's like, well, hold on, you're talking about something crazy, completely hypothetical way in the future. Right now, private send absolutely works, right? And if you see the criticism of there's not enough liquidity to that is based on how much is in masternodes, right? And the masternode count of like locked down currency, right, it's in flux constantly. It's not constant. It's not increasing all the time. It's not decreasing all the time. It tends to increase over time, right?
Masternodes come and go.
Yes. And so the proportion of the currency that's in actual circulation and able to be mixed has not really meaningfully declined at all, right? And so if you try to do like 8 rounds of mixing or something, it might be a couple hours. But the good thing about that is you can do that overnight, right? You can just set the thing, I'm going to mix, go to bed. And then in the morning you have a pot of mixed funds, right? That have been mixed from different users all across the network that know, the masternodes who arrange the mixing don't know who those people are. They just know denominations are flying over. It's like, say you got 5 people in the room. They each have $20. One, they have a 10, like a 5, like 4 ones, and a bunch of coins each.
And they're just handing these coins around and the bills around?
Well, what they do is they go to the trusted third party, right? The trustless third party, the masternode, and just they hand from behind a curtain. They just hand all this money, right? And then the masternodes take this big pot of money, and then they just mix it up, just completely mix it up. And then they take the denominations out, right? The 10, the 5, the 4 ones, and the bunch of coins. Okay, this is at $20, and they push it through the curtain. Someone grabs it, take it again, push it through. So everyone has the same amount of money in the same denominations they did before, but those units are completely different, and no single person knows that. No one knows who anyone is in this transaction, right? It's all obfuscated.
And that sounds completely plausible to me. What about the blockchain debate? So in Bitcoin, there's this dispute of should we raise the block size, and that's the amount of transactions that can be done in a given 10-minute period. And right now, they're hitting the top of those. Like every single block is full.
More like last year.
Yeah.
Well, right now it's gotten bad.
And now it's getting to the point that it costs a lot of money to do a transaction.
Yes.
What about
average fee is over $1 now?
Does Dash have a technology that's built in that will prevent that from occurring?
Yes, in a few ways. So to begin with, Dash has, I believe, a 700 or so kilobyte block size and a 2.5-minute block size interval. That basically means that Dash's blocks are slightly smaller than Bitcoin's, but they come by 4 times as fast. So that's 3 times the transaction capacity just off the bat, right now, right? So that means that right now, without any additional improvements, Dash could be 3 times Bitcoin's size in order to run into those same problems.
Yep.
Right?
Okay, that's good.
So then the masternodes, right, the stakeholders who run the network and received 45% of the block reward or inflation of the currency, they were already polled when Bitcoin started running into this problem of what are we going to do when we start running into this thing? And 95+%, I don't remember the exact figure, but the overwhelming majority voted we're going to raise our block size limit to 2 megabytes, right? So everyone already knows that everyone in Dash is already on board with this very simple fix that Bitcoin still can't get around to.
Right. So one thing that the Dash has that Bitcoin doesn't, and this can really stick in the craw of a lot of people, is governance.
Yes.
And whereas, you don't lose anything. The government can't take things from you, but they can make decisions a lot more easily than in the Bitcoin community.
Yes, and that's the challenge with Bitcoin, right? And I'm a longtime Bitcoin user. I mean, I've been using it since 2013, and I've been living exclusively off of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin first, for about 1.5 years now.
Have you really?
Yes. I don't have a bank account.
Wow.
It's only New Hampshire, right? If this was anywhere else, I'd be a little bit nuts. But right now, that's just all I do. It's all my income. That's all I do.
You must know somebody who has an apartment that they'll rent to you, I guess.
Yes, I've made some arrangements like that. In fact, in the Manchester area especially,
how do you do the food thing?
Well, there's a few services. For example, I mean, Not giving it. Hopefully, I get paid get paid for this free advertisement, right? But services such as Gift, GYFT, or eGifter,
I'm familiar with them.
Sell gift cards for large grocery stores, for example, Whole Foods or whatever, or Target, and you can buy those at a discount with cryptocurrency, mainly Bitcoin at this point.
What kind of discount?
Depends on. Gift doesn't really offer discounts anymore. eGifter, last I checked, and it's been a couple months, but was somewhere around like 5% or so.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a small discount, but you still can just buy gift cards and then use that balance to go pay for stuff.
You could also use the coupons the store coupons that they have too. So
so there's that. There's also there's a series of Bitcoin debit cards, right? These are effectively prepaid debit cards that get funded by cryptocurrency, right? And I have one of those right now. I use ShakePay, which is a Dash debit card. It uses Dash, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Takes it directly. So within 7 minutes, and I counted this, right? I did an instant send transaction, and time it took. Within 7 minutes, I got from Dash to spendable dollars on my Visa card able to be spent anywhere.
Wow.
So that makes it pretty easy to just have only cryptocurrency and yet still live in a world that isn't quite at that stage yet.
We've got Joel here on Free Talk Live. He's living completely on cryptocurrencies, and he's from Dashforce. 855-450-FREE. Call in with your questions. That's 855-450-3733.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon you'll need a plan and place to survive. Forget bunkers. You're not a live underground gopher. You need survivalist camps, the ultimate fully functional, off-the-grid mobile survival bug-out house that's well-equipped and custom-built to outlast any other RV or trailer. Bold statement? You bet. See them now at survivalistcamps.com. That's survivalistcamps.com. Trust your family's survival to survivalistcamps.com.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government, the real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here,
I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live Wednesday edition. It's Mark with you.
And Joel.
And Jay.
You can give us a call, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. And it's been a lot of cryptocurrency talk tonight. We've also talked about borders and that sort of thing, which is a pretty common Free Talk Live fare. But I think that it's fair to say that the vast majority of Americans have heard of a cryptocurrency, probably Bitcoin, and they may not know what it is, but they've heard something, and that there's been a great deal of market penetration. It looks like the world, to me, it looks like the world's changing. It could very well be a world where cryptocurrencies are important, relevant, and, I don't know, hope upon hope, replace the old, tired, worn-out government currencies out there. And I think that's what I want to keep in mind when we talk about these cryptocurrencies and the innovations and the each one of their technologies and that sort of thing. Is that, to me, certainly it's important to find out which one's the best, but it's going to take a long time to figure that out. What's more important to note is which currencies are the worst, and those are the ones that are purported by governments, that are run by central banks, that wars are fought over, that hidden taxes are given to, that people die over on a daily basis. These government currencies,
and they are the number one funder of wars. Not only that fought over them, but it makes war possible.
That's what I'm trying to get across here is that these government currencies, when the United States government, or you pick the country, it doesn't make a difference, when they want to go to war, they print some more currency to pay for the war. They don't tax you. It's not like war bonds back in World War II when it said, buy war bonds, support our troops, buy war bonds. Well, what did George Bush say when a reporter asked him, what can we do to support the Iraq war effort, back when the Iraq war was something that most Americans were behind? Well, he said go shopping, because he understood that the velocity of money was good for the U.S. dollar. He didn't say buy war bonds, because it doesn't matter anymore. It completely doesn't matter at all.
The U.S. dollar is a war bond.
Yeah, that's what it is. So that's what I like to keep in perspective here is that, yeah, there is an enemy, and it's not us. It's these fiat currencies, the euro, the dollar, the ruble. You pick, it's a mess.
Yes, and obviously that's in my view, that's kind of a weird thing to do, is to try to fight amongst different competing amazing technologies. It's just like, I mean, but it's the natural human inclination towards tribalism, right? We see it right in the liberty movement. Oh, those people out in Keenan doing crazy stuff. Oh, those Manchkins in Manchester, they're doing this. And oh, but what about this place in the Carolinas? And oh, there's this free project. We're all better than you. But ultimately, I think any progress in that area is good progress, right? So obviously, we have to sort of figure out which tools, right, technology, are better for which purposes, right? But if something that's 10 times better wins out over something that's 25 times better, sure, I wish there would be something 25 times better. But like right now, a lot of people were promoting Bitcoin not because it was the best or the most advanced cryptocurrency, but because it was the largest. And in so doing, it's the best chance of getting non-government money into people's hands, right? And so a lot of people backed Bitcoin based on that. With Bitcoin goes all of cryptocurrency, and instead of now there's a little bit more competitiveness. But ultimately, I don't view bashing other coins as a good thing, right? Necessarily.
And you write for these cryptocurrency news
I am what one might call a paid shill, right? I said my job is to help the ecosystem around one of these coins. And I will, of course, do that, but I don't think that the way to help is by bashing other coins. I don't think that one should ignore some facts and stuff. For example, when I say I did a Bitcoin transaction and it was like $12 and it's cost me about $2 and it was stuck for a week and then got rejected, I don't think that that's bashing Bitcoin. That's just a simple statement of fact. I still wish Bitcoin would succeed, right? I really hope it does. I'm more backed on other things, but there you have it.
Yeah, Bitcoin has about 60% as far as the market share of what they call the cap, the capitalization rate, the amount that cryptocurrencies are worth. 60% of it is Bitcoin, and then the other 40% is all the other coins. So I just wanted to go through some of these coins, Joel, and have you just comment and say a few words on each one of the coins so that people can get educated on the different types. I'm going to go here to coincap.io. They are a sponsor of Free Talk Live and a great site, and you can get their app and you can set up your own little wallet there, and you can watch currencies, you can set amounts. It's really great because you can see what your sort of net worth is in crypto right there in the app. I think it's great. You go to, let's see, number 2, Ethereum. Tell me about Ethereum.
Well, I'm definitely not an Ethereum expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I would not really call Ethereum a cryptocurrency in that its main purpose is not really money. Its main purpose is smart contracts, right, to power dApps or decentralized applications, right?
So you could, we were talking about it here on the air, you could use it to distinguish whose property lines are whose. Currently, we have deeds.
Well, and that's the thing. You don't even need a smart contract for that. Just a record somewhere that just says this is this person's. A smart contract is a self-executing contract.
Okay.
So that means if I do work, you have to pay me, right? So what happens is if we have this agreement in a contract, at that point I just say, all right, I did this stuff, pay me. And then I don't want to pay you. In which case, I'd have to get some kind of guy with bigger muscles than you to beat your head in to get you to pay me, right? That's kind of the law enforcement system. Now, They have dumb contracts. A smart contract links to your wallet, and as soon as I'm able to prove that I did the work, the money goes to me as per our contract. Self-executing.
Would that be a third party that would then distinguish whether that's the case?
Well, that's the thing, is the contract itself is the third party.
How does a contract know whether or not you've washed my car?
Well, they're obviously, here we go to the big can of worms. It's a lot more complicated than just saying, all right, we just arrange this thing. Just like with legal terminology, you have to be very careful with the words you use so that you make sure you're getting the deal you thought you were. With a smart contract, there would have to be something like, you would have to say, if 3 of this pool of observers all agree that the car is now sufficiently washed, and they sign off on it, it auto-executes, in that example.
So the money is essentially like held in escrow as soon as you create the smart contract, or the smart contract has the ability to remove the money from the wallet. You can't stop it.
In that situation, yes. So you cannot renege on a smart contract.
I think I'd like to do business that way because I've got piles of contracts that essentially haven't gotten paid for.
Yeah.
But it was because I did a deal with someone who didn't have the money to pay me. So at least it proves, hey, they got the money to pay you when you enter into this.
Yes, and the thing is, the challenge with these smart contracts in Ethereum is the good thing is it sounds like it's something that could change the entire way humanity conducts itself forever after amen. Holy bleep, right? The problem is, how do we get from here to there? It's very experimental. There have been some instances. For example, there was a project called the DAO, as in the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, which was sort of an investment vehicle, and someone was able to exploit a weakness in the code, right? exploited a weakness in the code in order to just siphon all the money away. And so basically the DAO investors just got robbed, not based on like breaking the code or hacking. It wasn't even a hack. They just exploited something that's in the code because it was not written airtight.
Yeah, it was a big deal, and Ethereum split into two currencies.
Yes. So bottom line, smart contracts, really great, but we got to figure them out.
Yeah, it is the technology that could change the world, but hasn't done it yet.
Yes, maybe 10 years off. We'll see.
855-450-3733. 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
When I get to about 3/4,
when I get down to the bottom, a couple more scoops, it's time to place my order. Dinovite.com.
Order a 90-day supply of Dinovite for your dog this week.
We'll send you a big tube of Doggo Suds free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggo Suds shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggo Suds.
Free this week at Dinovite.com.
If it's working, don't quit. DINOVITE.com. We get asked all the time when we're at shows, how do you get your dog so healthy and shiny and glossy?
Order a 90-day supply of Dinovite for your dog this week.
We'll send you a big tube of Doggo Suds free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggo Suds shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggo Suds.
Free this week at Dinovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
This is Elizabeth McCabe, aka Lucky One of Truth Frequency News. I wanted to tell you all about Extendivite from HeartDrop.com. Y'all know I check everything before I air it. When I heard about Extendivite on TFR, I went to HeartDrop.com and started my research. It's got cayenne. That's good for blood and circulation. It stimulates the blood flow. It's got garlic, which fights bacteria like antibiotics, and it lowers the cholesterol and blood pressure. It also has milk thistle, which is the best detox for liver. I couldn't wait to try it out, and I'm glad I did 4 months ago. And here's obvious results. My hands and feet don't get cold anymore. The varicose veins have faded too. My wrists don't hurt after typing all day. Now I tell you all this because it's true and I want you to really live life. Try Extendivite. Go to heartdrop.com and order it.
Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid. Call now. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. The number, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. You can call in, talk about whatever is on your mind here on this live edition of Free Talk Live. And, we've been talking about cryptocurrencies this evening, and I want to keep talking about them because I really do truly believe that these things are going to change the world. I've believed that since 2011 when Free Talk Live premiered Bitcoin here on the air. We are the best I can tell, the very first non-technical media to discuss Bitcoin. Now, I think there's a guy named Max something that might dispute that, but I have yet to see the dates as far as their shows go. So January 2011, we're doing pretty good. The numbers, 855-450-3733. Going to go right to Skype. We got Masterminded calling in to talk about Dash. Masterminded, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello.
Hey, Joel, how's it going?
It's going very well, thank you.
We need to get you a Dash shirt there.
Yeah, I know. This is like the old like bury the hatchet shirt. In fact, fun fact.
You're wearing a Bitcoin shirt.
Yes, I'm wearing a Bitcoin shirt that I bought with Dash.
It's fast.
Well, mine over here, Jay says love on it in the Ron Paul Levolution symbol, and mine just says Carhartt.
Carhartt's that's my favorite coin.
I wanted to respond to the earlier caller about private send. It's actually been reviewed by Christoph Atlas, who's a security expert. It was a while back.
He's also been on Free Talk Live and sat in the studio while the show was being done on multiple occasions. Good friend of Stephanie Murphy, one-time Free Talk Live co-host. Go ahead.
Yeah, good guy. He did a review of it. It's been a while back. Maybe
when you say good guy, he is no nonsense. I don't think of him as a good guy. I think of him as a person who is bluntly honest, and by blunt I mean really, really blunt. If he's going to tell you what he thinks. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, he did a great review, and just like you said, he laid it on the table. There was some things that needed to be fixed. They were fixed, and it was called Dark Sin back then. It's now Private Sin. Like I say, he probably needs to do another review, but not too much has changed as far as the tech goes. But the caller earlier, he didn't seem to have a clue as to what he was talking about. He was repeating stuff that he had heard from other people, and then once these questions were answered, he just kind of moved on to the next thing. And I don't know what his deal. I guess he's just. I don't know why he's hating so much.
Yes, I happen to have known him, worked with him before. I do believe he's a very big fan of Monero. And
now, let me. So I've heard things about Dash. Let me toss a few things at you. You're in the Dash community? Is that right, Mastermind?
I am the founder of the Dash Force. Yes.
Okay, excellent. I have heard that Dash had a period where billions and billions of coins were pre-mined, and at pennies, less fractions of a penny a piece, and that all those people are going to make super amounts of money. And why would you get involved in that?
Yeah, they call it the Instamine. A lot of people like to call it a fast mine. There was, I think, about 2 million coins mined in the first 48 hours. And a lot of these coins were sold quickly on all the exchanges, like the miners tend to do with all coins. A lot of these coins were also hacked from a lot of the exchanges.
What's that mean? Like taken in a hack?
Yeah, there was a CEX, I think, was one of the first exchanges that got hacked, and I don't know how many. I think it was I want to say hundreds of thousands. This was way at the 3 years ago at the beginning. But lots of coins were hacked from there. There was another exchange, MintPal, who had a lot of their coins hacked as well, not just Dash or Darkcoin at the time, but pretty much all their coins were hacked. And then we had Cryptsy, another.
Yeah, I've heard about the Cryptsy hack.
It was hacked. That guy sold off a bunch of like hundreds of thousands of Dash. He really suppressed the price, and it was down to $2 back in 2015. And so everybody had plenty of time to buy the cheap Dash. And it's very spread out. The founder, he said that he had, I think, 250,000 Dash, of which I believe 200,000 were mined. He has agreed to give those back to the community, to donate them to various DAOs.
Yeah, so if I could jump in real quick, there was 2 original members of Darkcoin / Dash, Evan Duffield and Internet Ape. And from what I've heard, Internet Ape ended up exiting the project and selling off all his coins a long time ago. So that would just leave, of the original people, when the initial mining was happening, just Evan Duffield. And I was there at the open house in Phoenix, Arizona for the new Dash Core Team offices when Evan Duffield announced that he was going to take an advisory role to the program. He shut down all of his master nodes, so he has no direct say over what happens to Dash anymore. And he pledged that 80% of his personal fortune would go to community-based projects. He was just going to give it away. So right now, of that, I don't know who this mythical person is who has this big hoard of coins mined in the first 24, 48 hours, who's just sitting on them, because basically they've been all very well distributed across the whole world.
Okay.
Yeah, they were dumped early on. A lot of the coins. There's been deep technical analysis of the mining. Can't really post links on the. I'll post a link once the live show's done. But yeah, there's been deep technical analysis showing that the coins are very well distributed, and all these crypto coins have their own issues as far as their launch issues or distribution issues. Bitcoin's not immune to it. Monero's not immune to it. They had a cripple mine issue, and all these coins have their own different issues.
Yeah, I think that going after a coin was sort of what happened early on is a little unfair. Nobody seems to care that Satoshi Nakamoto, this mythical figure that created Bitcoin, probably possesses a great deal of Bitcoins because he mined. Very few people were mining them initially, and he was one of them that was mining them. I know that there were technical issues with Bitcoin that had to be fixed, and they were. And that's just kind of happens with a program when it's trotted out. So
yeah, so Satoshi supposedly has about 1 million coins.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so the Dash Instamine or Fastmine is really nothing compared. That's one person. There was literally hundreds, if not thousands, of people mining Dash. I'll post the links. Ryan Taylor, the CEO now, he did a really deep analysis, and I'll post those links.
Yes. Great. And to clarify, Ryan Taylor...
We'll share them on our Facebook page at facebook.freetalklive.com.
Yes, and to clarify, Ryan Taylor is the CEO of the Dash Core Team, which is a separate organization from the organization, the Dash Force, of which I'm part of. And to clear up any confusion of saying he's the CEO of Dash.
Right.
Now, he's the CEO of one entity under the greater Dash ecosystem.
Yeah, so this is one of the things that I think is great about Dash is that although there is governance, it's not nailed down. It can, at any point, the people who possess the Dash can decide, we don't like that anymore, and we'll move on to a different governance team. And so they're much more nimble in the way that changes would be created. Now that has its ups and downs, but so far it hasn't been terrible, and we're sitting in a situation where Bitcoin really needs to make a decision one way or the other on block size, the block size debate.
I'll tell you what I really like about Dash, and especially after having this conversation here. I don't have a lot to offer because I'm not as up on the cryptocurrency as you guys are. But last night I was at an establishment, and I made 3 purchases. I bought a tea, a couple mixed drinks, and a little meal. And I could have paid for it all with Bitcoin or Dash, but I didn't want to. The one guy, I said, I'll pay you in Bitcoin. He goes, that's kind of foolish. You're buying a $3 tea. It's going to cost you almost $1 to do the transaction fee. He's like, that's like paying a really high tax on tea. We had wars over that in the past, and we started laughing.
Yeah.
But he goes, you got a Dash wallet? I'm like, not set up on my phone. No, I don't. So I ended up having to give him, this blood money, Federal Reserve note coupons, as I like to call them. And I hate using Federal Reserve notes, and I really want to use crypto, but if I go over here to Local Burger and buy a $6 cheeseburger and got to pay $1 transaction fee, I'm going to set up a Dash wallet on my phone here tonight and get some Dash because the fees. And people are taking it. The last 2 weeks, a couple weeks, I've made Bitcoin transactions. I had the option to make a Dash transaction with that guy also.
Yeah, so definitely if the goal is to end the Fed and by Liberty Lovers, right, to get off of the Federal Reserve, paying exorbitant fees on Bitcoin is not going to get the job done. You need something that's actually usable as money if you're going to take over the current money.
Mastermind, thanks for the call.
Thank you.
The number is 855-450-3733. Or you can use Skype like Mastermind did. The username is lrn.fm. Or the regular telephone number, 855-450-3733.
Bitcoin.com is of the opinion that the current Bitcoin core development team is not taking satisfactory steps to ensure the growth and advancement of Bitcoin in accordance with Satoshi's vision. As community efforts to resolve these problems have failed, it is necessary to resolve them with a different approach by using subreddit r/BTC instead of r/Bitcoin and running Bitcoin Unlimited. You are casting a vote against the current development team. Learn more at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, May 3rd, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.86 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,256 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 2.2 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $1,466. Antiwar.com reports polling shows Democratic Party Korea candidate Moon Jae-in as an overwhelming front-runner in the upcoming presidential vote with more than double the support of any other candidate. He is, however, seen as far from ideal from the U.S. perspective, favoring diplomacy with North Korea as he does. The split between Moon and Trump is so dramatic, in fact, that Moon has felt the need to publicly warn the U.S. about meddling in the nation's politics, not just directly in the election itself, but also with policy decisions made in the lead-up to the election. Indeed, Moon and his allies warn that the biggest problem is the U.S. rushing through measures in the lame duck government ahead of the election, noting that agreements on things like the THAAD anti-missile system and then hastily putting the system in place before any public hearing or environmental assessment were allowed to take place. Analysts even suggest that President Trump's talks of making South Korea pay for the THAAD might help Moon because he is seen as more likely to stand up to the U.S. on the deployment and doesn't feel particularly wedded to any agreements on the deployment which were made in the post-impeachment pre-election environment specifically to avoid real political debate.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
UPI reports the U.S. Department of Justice will not file charges against 2 police officers involved in the controversial shooting death of Alton Sterling in Louisiana last year. Video of the incident showed Sterling pinned to the ground by arresting officers before multiple shots were fired. The video prompted widespread protest and an investigation by the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division. Federal prosecutors, though, don't feel there's enough evidence to file civil rights charges against the officers in the case. Sources familiar with the department's decision confirmed the news on Tuesday. East Baton Rouge Mayor-President Sharon Weston Broome said she was appalled to hear of the DOJ's decision from news reports without a formal decision being relayed to the Sterling family first. Early on Tuesday, Michael T. Slager, a former South Carolina police officer who fatally shot motorist Walter Scott 2 years ago in another high-profile case, pled guilty as part of an agreement with federal prosecutors. Under that deal, Slager pled guilty to a single count of excessive force to deprive Scott of his civil rights. He is expected to be sentenced later this year.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports the National Security Agency collected more than 150 million records of Americans' phone calls last year, even after Congress supposedly limited its ability to collect bulk phone records, according to an annual report issued on Tuesday by the top U.S. intelligence officer. The report from the Office of Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coates, was the first measure of the effects of the 2015 USA Freedom Act, which supposedly limited the NSA's ability to collect phone records and contacts of people the NSA and allied intelligence agencies suspect may have ties to terrorism. The report found that the NSA collected the 150 million records even though it had warrants from the secret Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court to spy on only 42 suspects in 2016, in addition to a handful identified the previous year. The report came as Congress faced a decision on whether to reauthorize Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which permits the NSA to collect foreign intelligence information on non-U.S. persons outside the U.S. and is scheduled to expire at the end of this year. The report did not address how frequently the FBI obtained information about Americans while investigating a foreign intelligence matter, however. On Friday, the NSA said it had stopped a form of surveillance that allowed it to collect the digital communications of Americans who mentioned a foreign intelligence target in their messages without a warrant. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A report finds it's not okay to just start talking to people you don't know, and a monstrosity is created in the Frito-Lay laboratory. This is the Onion Week in Review. Local newborn Nathan Jameson surprised the world earlier this morning by irrevocably losing all faith in humanity after just 6 days. Though he's not yet developed the capacity for speech, spokespeople for the 6-day-old baby have confirmed he already knows that humans cannot be trusted and that most people lack self-awareness about their own destructive tendencies.
While most people need around 30 or 40 years to truly understand that the vast majority of humanity is shallow and irredeemable, baby Nathan's convinced that he has seen all that he needs to see. People have been nice and even brought him toys and presents. But the fact is, Nathan knows they're all full of shit.
And in this week's science report, botanists discover trees are all slowly trying to strangle each other. In other news, a fun-loving turtle is all business when it comes to feeding time, and a partygoer rolls a couple of fat burritos to pass around.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live's live Wednesday edition. It's Free Talk Live, and you can call in and talk about anything you want. That's what we do here on Free Talk Live. We give you the voice that you so often wish you had. We deliver on the promise that Facebook just pretends to. The idea that you can communicate with, on a weeknight, tens of thousands of people. On a weekend, on Saturday night, maybe hundreds of thousands of people. The number, 855-450-3733, or you can call us on Skype, username LRN.FN. This is Mark,
Joel,
and Jay.
855-450-3733. 888-866-9833. Let's go to the phones, to the fun. Mark calling in from Salt Lake City. Mark, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you guys doing? So I wanted to talk about James Comey. I guess he had a grilling, so to speak, in front of the Senate today.
I always get these confused. Wasn't there like a Comey 2012 too? Like some gangster in Africa?
Comey, yeah, that was K-O-N-Y.
Okay.
Yeah, there versus Comey, C-O-M-E-Y, that was
Gotcha.
the FBI director. Yeah. So, anyway, James Comey had they actually brought up WikiLeaks, and do you know what he called WikiLeaks?
Did he call it a terrorist organization?
He called it intelligence porn.
Intelligence porn.
Yeah.
What does that mean? All right.
Well, I'm sure it had delivered a happy ending for a lot of people.
Yeah. So, but also on top of that, the European Union has given England its final bill for how much it's going to cost them to get out of the European Union, and it is 100 billion euros.
Wow.
Exactly 100 billion euros, yes.
And why is that?
If they want to leave the EU. Well,
Exit
they say
fee.
that it's because of agreements that England had made with the European Union. It's basically the fee associated with breaking those commitments that it had made in the past.
I see.
Or something like that.
So the contract exit clause fee, right?
Yes.
Not that it was pre-stated or anything like that. I guess I want to talk about WikiLeaks real quick. I know that Julian Assange came out, was it this week, maybe last week, and addressed finally the accusations regarding his situation in Sweden, where they accused him of rape and was, presented the evidence that he was not guilty of this, best evidence one can come up with to claim not guilty of something. And he just sort of, basically said that Sweden was acted as the U.S.'s stooge and did it so effectively that, hundreds of thousands, if not, millions of times effectively linked his name with the word rape. And he's been locked up in the Ecuadorian embassy for basically the last 5 years. And reading it, I just kind of felt so sorry for this guy and how the hit piece that the government put out on him, all because he wanted to make a platform, a journalism platform, where leakers who had information that would help the world be a better place, well, they could give that information out anonymously and not have to deal with the ramifications.
Yeah. And actually, I looked into the Julian Assange case. This is years back when he was first accused of it.
Yeah.
And it has all the makings of a honeypot situation.
Oh yeah.
Where they, and considering that like the lady that's supposedly making the claim, even she admits that it wasn't rape.
Yeah.
That it was totally consensual.
Well, the terminology. The funny thing is, Sweden has some silly laws. So basically, if you go to Sweden, you say, "I'm an astronaut. Don't you want to have sex with me?" I'm sure this pickup line's been used. At least it was used on TV at one point. If that person does that and they do it under these false pretenses that you're an astronaut, you're a rapist by the law's definition.
Wow, that's pretty extreme.
It's pretty extreme. So the notion was that she had sex with Julian Assange with the expectation that they would then be in a long-term relationship. Any other country in the world, she's just a tramp.
Or got played.
She got played, right? I think that's a better term, or whatever it is that they, wish to call her. I think you should be able to have sex with whoever you want, but, that's how it goes.
Possibly she just had unrealistic expectations for that relationship.
Indeed.
Or even if they were realistic, they didn't end up falling through. I mean, that sounds like if you buy a product assuming it'll make, like, say I'm going to buy a new car from you, Mark, right?
Yep.
What if I want to buy a new car and then you didn't tell me, but I assume it's going to make me a hit with the ladies.
Right.
And it doesn't work out. Did you defraud me?
Doesn't sound like it.
That sounds like a really sketchy law, if you ask me.
Even if you say, even if I say that it's going to make you a hit with the ladies, who knows what Julian Assange said after a few drinks between the two of them? He's like, yeah, I like you. Or in his, great Australian accent or whatever it is. And then he changes his mind. That's the kind of thing you're supposed to be able to change your mind on.
Yes, it's not like a long-term relationship is a contract unless it's a marriage contract, and I do not think they propose marriage in that moment.
Now, it seems really unwise over a weekend. Mark, is that anything else?
No, not really.
Thanks for the call. 855-450-3733. Excuse me. Let's go to Forrest. Listening on Skype, or calling in on Skype. Forrest, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello, gentlemen. I'm thrilled to hear you talking about cryptocurrency tonight. I know you don't run a tech-centered show, but once in a while it's a really great topic because I agree with you 100%, Mark. It's definitely going to change the world, and I think personally it's one of the most practical things people can do to fight for freedom. Just storing your value in a non-government currency is a really incredible thing that you can do now, and it's never been possible really.
100%. I think the cryptocurrency has changed the landscape of what it's like now to advocate for freedom. You can actually do something besides picking up and moving to New Hampshire, which is a fine choice. You can do that because we, as far as a geopolitical designation, probably use cryptocurrencies more here than any place else. But nonetheless, you can do something without having to pick up and move, and I think it's fantastic. And that's what my challenge is here tonight: is to bring this important message to tens of thousands of people listening on their radios who probably don't know anything about cryptocurrencies. Go ahead, Forrest.
Right on. So I love the actually. So yeah, I used to tell people, hey, this is an incremental thing. This is it's set up in a perfect way so we can all slowly get in. And as more and more people get on board, it becomes more and more powerful. And you don't have to risk everything all at once. You can just risk what you're willing to. But if you are willing to come to New Hampshire, the greatest place on earth, I love the fact that now that I'm up here, there's so many other people in New Hampshire that are already on this train, and you can use Bitcoin and other coins, even at places like we have a local community market where everybody accepts cryptocurrency.
Last month I paid for everything in Dash.
Absolutely, I paid for a haircut in Dash, and I paid for some meat in Bitcoin. We have restaurants here because we have so many people who are willing to pay. They're right on board. The servers take Bitcoin, so it's very, very exciting just to be amongst people who are already up with the times. And I've been into Bitcoin for a really long time. I did risk everything. I put 100% of my net worth into Bitcoin, and
whoa,
Hey, you and me too, brother.
You put 100% of your net worth into Bitcoin. When was that?
5 years ago. I mean, I was a grad student, so it wasn't like millions of dollars or anything.
I understand. It's still a heck of a thing to do.
Oh yeah.
Well, you couldn't have done any better with anything else, really.
Right.
Yeah. Good move.
What investment besides Bitcoin could you have put your money in 2012, not moved it, and at the time, I can't think of anything.
And not pay taxes on that profit on that investment.
Anything you would have bought, any commodity that you would have bought, and Bitcoin is essentially a virtual commodity, you wouldn't have to pay tax on until you sell it. So this is not tax advice, and I am not a certified public accountant.
Neither am I.
I can't spend pork bellies, on stuff at the community market.
It's true.
Or anything.
This
Have you tried?
Is a currency.
Pork belly coin, the latest, hottest cryptocurrency.
The number is 855-450-3733. Forrest, do you have anything else?
Yes, I wanted to talk a little bit about Dash. If you give me just one more second.
855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
Message and data rates may apply.
When did American men get so soft? Today's average red-blooded American man has less testosterone than his father, and his father has less testosterone than his father. Before we turn into a country of powder puffs, Force Factor is launching the Man Up America event. We want to send every man in America a complimentary bottle of the breakout supplement taking GNC by storm. Test X 180 Ignite, loaded with free testosterone-boosting manliness. Get your complimentary bottle by texting SHAPE44 to 369369. During workouts, Test X 180 Ignite raises levels of free testosterone in your body to help build lean muscle. Plus, it helps burn fat, fuel sexual individual desire and improved performance. Now you can continue to feel like the real men that made this country great. Do yourself a favor. Do America a favor. Text SHAPE44 to 369369 for your complimentary bottle. That's a complimentary bottle by texting SHAPE44 to 369369.
Hey, diabetics. Yeah, you. Got a spare hour to waste going to the pharmacy to get your insulin or other meds and supplies every month? I didn't think so. Me either. I've got life going on, which is why I use PillPack. PillPack is an amazing online pharmacy. They package up all my diabetic meds and testing supplies into daily doses and send it to me every month, automatically. All I do is pay my normal copay. PillPack does the rest. I'm serious. This is a free service. They don't even charge for shipping. PillPack handles all the medical insurance stuff and even get with my doctors for my other prescriptions so I don't have to, which is good because that's the stuff I forget. But PillPack remembers everything. They even package up my daily vitamins so I remember to take them too. If you're diabetic, your meds and supplies are life and death, which means you need PillPack. Call right now for this free service. You may even qualify for $25 in free vitamins. 800-560-7310. That's 800-560-7310. Again, 800-560-7310.
When you're coping with bad news and the news media come calling, and they will, don't clam up. As notorious political figures find out the hard way, the cover-up can be worse than the crime. So get out in front of unfavorable news about your company, your group, or organization, or yourself. The sooner you confront a negative story, the sooner it will be over. Responding as quickly to negative stories as you do to positive ones enhances your credibility. Hiding embarrassing information or lying will do more damage than damage control. Never stonewall. Tell your side of the story, use specifics, and detail what corrective action has already been taken. Respond in kind. If the issue is emotional, don't sound like a cold, unemotional Mr. Spock. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. Sorry, we were talking Dash in the studio, and I just lost myself. 855-450-3733. It's Mark with you. Hold on, Joel, I got the mics on now.
Joel, yep.
And Jay.
You can do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. You can spend regular U.S. dollars there through credit cards or whatever. It's Amazon. It's Walmart. We've got Newegg there. We've got links to all kinds of different retailers online, and we get a little spiff back. It's a great way to support Free Talk Live when you do your online shopping. Please do it through shop.freetalklive.com. We were on the phone with Forrest, and I want to get back to that real quick. Forrest, you're back on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind about Dash?
Thank you, Mark. So I as much as I love Bitcoin, we have definitely been seeing a lot of problems, and all those problems kind of stem from infighting because Bitcoin's a distributed project. No person actually has authority over which software is used, and some of the people who have the ability to move the discussion forward have decided that they're fine, letting things stall and a bad user experience come out of it, which is really unfortunate. More people are excited about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general than ever before, so it really breaks my heart to see people having to pay between $1 and $5, $6 fees if they want to make a transaction on the Bitcoin network. It's really sad, but it's great that we have competition from software projects like Dash, because that even if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, I mean, you should be happy that there's something putting pressure on Bitcoin to evolve and get better and not just stagnate the way that the development currently is.
Henry Ford said that he was happy to make a car in any color that people wanted as long as it was black. Now, it turns out that there were some multicolored Model Ts that were created. Model T was incredible, world-changing technology. But he left an opening in the marketplace by saying, we're going to paint it black. And I know why he did it. He did it for a really great reason. The reason he did it was so that he didn't have to spend a lot of extra money looking for colors and mixing colors and all that other stuff. It was a fine idea, but somebody offered a different service, and somebody who wanted a powder blue car, that was important to them.
Yeah, so that's, in my view, one of the biggest praises you could say about Bitcoin is it's, until recently, really hasn't had anything resembling competition, because it just, there was the rest of the financial system, and then there was Bitcoin, lo and behold. And there was nothing to compete against for Bitcoin. Just literally Bitcoin clones coming around late to the party, just not able to catch up with it. And just Bitcoin's had this like peaceful period of just being the only player in the only serious player in the system until very recently. I mean, it was at the beginning of this year, right? After years of scaling issues and higher fees and slower transactions building up, at this year had over 85% of the market share. And I mean, now that's dropped to about 60%, yeah. But still, just that it took until 2017 to drop below 85%. That's a good testament to how robust Bitcoin's technology is.
Forrest, I don't know if I derailed your point. Go ahead.
No, not at all. That's exactly what I was saying. And Dash in particular, I've done some research on the top alternative when wanting to look for something that would be the experience that I used to have in Bitcoin. And I think that Dash, out of the top 20 competitors or so, easily wins in that category. It's
How's
it's designed.
That?
Oh well, they have a feature. They've as part of their network, their protocol architecture, they have incentivized nodes, which I know you guys have touched on already, and that allows things. One of the previous callers made some incorrect statements about mixing. The mixing in Dash absolutely is protocol level. That means that it's built in. They have built-in privacy. It actually works wonderfully. I think it's the simplest, and that's one of its strengths. It works very well. So they have I think the best privacy solution out of the privacy-oriented coins.
Mixing is a system for making it so that people can't track who's making a transaction or something like that, right?
Exactly. The coins are fungible.
It's privacy.
Exactly. So I think Dash has actually the strongest offering there. It has instant transactions through those incentivized nodes. That's another thing that most cryptocurrencies have had to compromise on. We say, well, we trust that your transaction is pretty safe until it's confirmed and written in stone. But in Dash, their network is actually designed to allow you to choose an actual instant transaction that will be confirmed.
Now, in fact, right over the break, I sent Jay a little bit of Dash instant send.
I saw it happen.
How fast did that confirm?
Oh, what, 4 or 5 seconds maybe? It was real fast.
Instant.
Maybe even sooner.
And what did instant send cost?
It costs about 9 cents.
Okay. And what does a regular transaction cost?
Under a cent.
Okay.
Usually most of them
if
under
you
a cent.
need instant send, you did it just to see how long it would take,
Yes.
but it would have gone through in 2.5 minutes, which I thought you made a really great point is a Visa or MasterCard transaction, although it may have early confirmation, which of course so does Dash, and so does Bitcoin, and so do the other cryptocurrencies. It doesn't actually confirm until 24 hours in many cases. So
yes, and so that's the thing about Bitcoin's transaction times got long before that was a problem, because people are like, it's going to confirm next hour, doesn't matter. It got broadcast, it shows up, it's going to get confirmed. But then what happens when you have a transaction that you're like, I don't need to pay a high fee, I trust it'll go through. It just never goes through. It's in limbo. And then next week, you get a call from your buddy who owns the shop that you bought the thing from. He's like, hey, remember that stuff you paid me? I still can't use it. It still is like unconfirmed. What's up with that?
Yeah,
and it's when you run into some problems.
It's happened to me.
Oh, yeah. Probably everyone in this room.
Paid for some services, some farm work, and in Bitcoin, and we didn't put a transaction fee. This was back in the day. We put 0 transaction fee, and it just simply never went through. And, well, it was a little embarrassing.
I vended at the Jackalope Freedom Festival last summer, and I accepted Bitcoin, and there was a whole bunch of transactions that were really, really slow. I'm like selling bulletproof coffee and just, some hamburgers and stuff. But I mean, and you don't know who all them people are. You're at a festival, and, it just kind of had to go on to faith. Well, let's hope it works. I'm not going to, harass somebody over, a $4 cheeseburger. And, there was definitely like a handful of them, though, I don't think I ever got.
Yeah.
But like the next day, I remember, next day, like just random notifications I got a payment or whatever,
yeah.
Confirmation.
It's almost like it almost is that something that Bitcoin was purported as is that it could never do a double spend. You could never do a sort of a counterfeit transaction, but you can. All you have to do is deal with somebody who doesn't have the knowledge base. With Bitcoin, you put a low transaction fee. You say, hey, look, I'm doing the transaction. You show it to them right there in front of them, and send it to their wallet, and then take your hamburger or whatever, walk away, and you never see them again.
Eventually do the exact same transaction back to your own wallet with a higher fee, and just doing the old bait and switch, and
that's what it is.
They never get paid.
Forrest, thanks for the call.
Thank you.
855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
Do you know what's lurking in your water? More than 200 contaminants could be sitting there, just waiting for your glass. With a ProPure water filter, start enjoying clean and great-tasting water today. ProPure filters, independently tested, latest water filter technology. ProPure systems do not require electricity and are easy to set up and easy to use. To find out more, visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Nearly 1/3 of FBI domestic terrorism cases involve refugees. 1/3. There's already been riots across Europe. Is America next? Hi, I'm the owner of Infidel Body Armor. Over the past 4 years, I've sold thousands of body armor kits and trained hundreds of sheepdogs. They have prepared. Have you? I invite you to go to my website at infidelbodyarmor.com and click on specials. Trouble is coming. Now do something about it. Infidelbodyarmor.com. Just won't quit.
Free Talk Live.
Pushing women to the ground with a camera in her hand, I think a real man wouldn't do that. And you got to be on roids or something to get into that state of mind.
Well, Wayne hit it on the head. If they're not on steroids, and a number of them, some of them are, most of them probably aren't. They're not on steroids, maybe, but they're definitely high on adrenaline. Former drug task force officer, when he started with the police, he would get that adrenaline rush from writing a ticket. And then, of course, he acclimated himself to it, and then he needed something else. He needed to escalate. He needed to have something else. So it got so extreme that he would leave people uncuffed. Like he'd bust a coke dealer or something like that, and then just leave them uncuffed on the hopes that they would get up and try to run.
So he kicks some butt.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, Hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can call in, talk about whatever is on your mind. This live Wednesday edition of Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
And Joel.
And Jay.
855-450-3733. Bitcoin.com recently reported Bitcoin transaction fees have increased by more than 1,200%.
Oh, goodness.
Since 2015. To many the Bitcoin payments, the current fee market is moving way too fast, making Bitcoin unusable for certain transactions, like low-cost transactions, buying a cup of coffee or a hamburger or something like that. We just don't have the tolerance, especially in the United States, for paying a large transaction fee. We're used to the business paying it. But with Bitcoin, you could pay between 30 cents and $1 right now, even more than that. We could pay certainly 80 cents. Jay, weren't you paying something like that last night?
Yeah, well, I didn't pay anything last night because everybody said it's going to be like $1 to buy a $3 tea.
Yep, there you go. So the fee market and slow confirmation times have increased the tension concerning the block size debate. However, if there are wallets with low amounts of Bitcoin that can't cover the fees, they become virtually unspendable. There's a good number of wallets out there right now that are unspendable because of the fees. Learn more at news.bitcoin.com.
So on that subject, right, people are talking about, money held in Dash Masternodes, for example, or in all that at least is movable at the drop of a hat. In fact, if you move it, you get bumped down the payment queue in the Masternode system. But with Bitcoin, there's stuff you can't even move. It's sitting there forever. It's gone. Like you just see it there sitting in that wallet. You just looking at it. It's money. It's yours, but you just can't move it because it costs more to move it than it does to get it.
Yep. Let's go to Ralph in New Jersey. Oh, you've never experienced anything like this, Joel. Ralph, you're on Free Talk Live.
Listen close.
Thanks. Good evening to you, Mark, and good evening to the two guys in there. Now, in the news tonight, we heard about the no indictment return with regard to the police case in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
What did we learn in the news tonight? We learned about something to do with police in Baton Rouge. Tell me about what I learned.
This was a black-white situation. Okay.
There's a black-white situation in Baton Rouge.
This was the police officer involved here. There were two of them. They happened to be white, and the individual was gunned down was black, named Alton Sterling. Now this goes back to the era of El Negro. Yeah, she very well knows.
Are we talking about Barack Obama? Okay.
Obama, right? Exactly. Now, as you very well know, this animal, Obama, is an agent provocateur, saboteur when it comes to the issue of race. And for all the rah-rah about me being a racist, look at, how can any of you explain how race relation has sunk down so low in the Obama era?
I don't know.
For all the rah-rah about me being a racist, right? How did you understand what I'm saying? Which is a hyperbole, and a hypothesis, and I believe that
it's a hypothesis, certainly, Ralph. But I mean, you seem very concerned with race. That much is true. But regarding Obama, I got to say, I really hoped when Barack Obama was elected president, I really hoped that this would be sort of the end of racial tension in the United States.
Right. I also hope that so, Mark. Believe you me, I also hope that so.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem to have happened at all.
Yeah, and in that regard, let me bring out the book by David Horowitz, The Big Agenda, which I happen to also read. See, we are just beginning in the summertime now. There's a lot of books to pick up out there in the bookstore, people. And this book is divided. He has part 1, part 2, and part 3. You apportion it into those parts, and the part 1 talks about the adversary, and in one of the chapters in the part 1, you got the chapter called the race card. Of course, that is a very, very tempting, situation right there for Ralph not to read. That's the first thing I read on part 1. Then part 2, you got the agenda. The myth of systemic racism is one of the chapters in there. And then finally, the part 3, you have the strategy. The strategy includes a chapter of, the Achilles heel of the Democratic Party. Guess what the author is talking about when he said Achilles heel of the Democratic Party, Mark?
I don't know. I'm not guessing.
Well, he described what the Democratic plantation is, and by Democratic plantation, I mean places like, Baltimore, Maryland, Detroit, okay?
There are certainly places where Democrats have strongholds, yep.
Right, okay. And as you very well know, Mark, it's, again, I don't mean to be controversial or anything of that sort, but...
I like controversy.
From years of living in a democratic state like New Jersey, the Democratic plantation is on. You have two elements that exist in the Democratic plantation.
What are they?
On one hand,
I thought we were just going to have one. I thought we were at step 3.
I'm lost.
On one hand, you have the white guilty running the Democratic plantation. Okay? And on the other hand, you have the black victim, or at least they make them out to be victims.
The black what? The black what? Victims. All right.
Victims.
Thank you for the call, Ralph. Really appreciate that. I don't doubt for W.E.B. Du Bois was very clear, and this is a black writer from the early 20th century, was very clear that some people make their living being victims. There's no doubt. I think that race relations are very, very complicated in the United States, and I'd like to see things go a lot better than they have. I think that one of the arguments here against the Justice Department dropping the charges, or not bringing charges against the officers in the Alton Sterling death, is that they did bring charges against a woman who snickered during the Jeff Sessions questioning in the Senate. So on one hand, they're willing to protect their own it appears as though they're willing to protect their own very thoroughly and not so willing to protect us.
That's what mafia organizations generally do.
Yeah, and that's what politics is. You protect your friends and you punish your enemies. That's what it all comes down to. I don't know. I mean, what can I say? It's a rigged game. Joel, I was asking you about different currencies, and I want to keep on asking.
Oh, yeah.
I've got some more questions. Ripple. What is Ripple?
I also am not an expert in Ripple.
What is it?
I believe it's a platform for exchange of funds, right? For fund transfer. I know it is being employed by the banking industry, right, to transfer money And by using Ripple as a blockchain-based intermediary, they're able to do that efficiently. It's usually a lot of people don't know a lot about it because it's not what most people call a cryptocurrency, in that like a distributed, decentralized, run peer-to-peer money.
It's more like a business.
Yes, it's sort of more like
buying shares
it's
in a business.
It's a blockchain-based tool used by the banking industry, right? But it's not exactly what I would call a true crypto coin according to most people's definitions, right?
Yeah. How about Litecoin? Much to the chagrin of many of the people in the crypto community, the predictions of Litecoin's death were rather optimistic, and it is back. It's at number 4. What is Litecoin?
So Litecoin is a fork of Bitcoin, right? It's a Bitcoin copy, so to speak, with a few little changes like a shorter block interval. Interesting thing, Dash is a copy of Litecoin, right? Dash became a fork of Litecoin that then they added some privacy features and some governance features, et cetera. But basically, Litecoin is a knockoff of Bitcoin that hasn't been really developed very much over the next years. And just now, because of the Bitcoin scaling debate, has been thrust right back into the spotlight.
They adopted SegWit, although they don't, the segregated witness. They don't need it, but they adopted it. The number, 855-450-3733. 855-450-FREE here on Free Talk Live.
Bitcoin.com recently reported Bitcoin transaction fees have increased by more than 1,200% since 2015. To many Bitcoin proponents, the current fee market is moving way too fast, making Bitcoin unusable for certain transactions. The fee market and slow confirmation times have also increased the tension concerning the block size debate. However, if there are wallets with low amounts of Bitcoin that can't cover the fees, they become virtually unspendable. Learn more at news.bitcoin.com. That's news.bitcoin.com.
Do you need a website for your blog or new business? It can be pretty intimidating on your own, and that's why Free Talk Live has partnered with HostGator, one of the top hosting companies. HostGator offers a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over-the-phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive, user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation back into your hands. Go to HostGator.com/FTL and you'll get 50% off of their regular hosting prices. 50% off. HostGator.com/FTL.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-765-9681 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-765-9681. Again, that's 800-765-9681.
Uncertainty has become the talking point when it comes to financial markets. One thing is becoming certain: safe haven assets. Hard assets are now becoming the choice of informed investors. The most recognized and valued hard asset is gold. The highest performing asset this year is gold. Trust gold to protect and grow your IRA or 401k. Central banks and billionaires are doing the same thing. Choose a more stable asset that has tremendous upside potential. As these uncertain times threaten the markets, your decision to reduce your exposure to these markets before further negative effects to your portfolio would be well timed. Call 1-800-GOLD-IRA to transfer your existing IRA into an actual physical gold and silver IRA. American Bullion is the pioneer of gold IRAs. They handle all the details for you. Call 1-800-GOLD-IRA to get prepared. Start protecting and growing your IRA and 401k before the next crash. American Bullion. 1-800-GOLD-IRA.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. It's the final segment of the Wednesday edition. It's Mark with you.
And it's Joel.
And Jay.
You can call in. We might be able to sneak you in here in the final segment. The username is lrn.fm on Skype or 855-450-3733. Yeah, so let's go straight to the phones here. We got, real quick, if you like what we do here on Free Talk Live and you appreciate the fact that we're bringing the ideas of liberty and the ideas of cryptocurrency to people who've never heard them before across America on radio stations across America, well, you can support us at amp.freetalklive.com. That's A-M-P, amp.freetalklive.com. We ask for $5 a month. And yeah, there's some perks. There's an amplifier forum. There's an amp-only call-in line. There's a few other things. It's amp.freetalklive.com. Let's go to Sarah calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, so the sugar tax, it failed.
The sugar tax in Santa Fe.
Good.
Right. Yeah, they spent altogether like $3.1 million combined to battle over this. But, they could buy all the sugary drinks they want. I just hope that they'll be happy with diabetes and with kidney failure and insulin injections and toe amputations. I hope they're going to be all happy with that.
Yeah, nothing makes me happier than those things. Really brightens up my morning.
Well, I mean, this is what the voters have chose to do. They want to kill themselves with drinking all the sugary drinks they want.
That's pretty extreme, Sarah.
Well, a voter can choose, like you, right? Can choose at any point to give up sugary drinks. What the sugar tax does is it puts a tax on, in many cases, the poorest people, because, well, when you're poor, what was it, 20 cents per ounce? Is that, or 2 cents per ounce? Is that right?
Right.
Yeah, that adds up on a 20-ounce beverage. You're talking about 40 cents. That 40 cents is far more meaningful to a poor person than it is to a rich person.
Well, more importantly, right, I know a good friend of mine works at Coca-Cola, right? And those jobs, a lot of times, that little, and for example, just in my local coffee shop, I just noticed they had a notice that they said they had to increase all their prices by 5 cents. And 5 cents is not enough to really do anything, but apparently, according to the calculations of the business owner, that's the only way they can keep their doors open is if they raise their prices 5 cents. So imagine what would happen if a soda tax goes on some company which employs a lot of poor people, right? A lot of people without a lot of education, for example. And what happens if that just results in 5 less people at the plant being able to be employed because of that cost? Are you going to go up to those 5 people and just say, yeah, serves you right. I'm totally supportive of the tax that just puts you guys out of a job and now your families can't eat?
And the big problem I have with this soda tax is you're feeding the parasite that we call government. And I don't have the stats in front of me, but I can guarantee governments throughout history have killed far more people than sugar ever has.
And more importantly, I think a lot of the reason why sugary or sweet beverages are so cheap is because of government subsidies to corn producers in the first place.
That's correct.
So it's kind of weird to pay them and then tax them at the same time. And, of course, all the transaction costs in between, right, to pay out the subsidy and then tax that. You lose a lot in that efficiency process, which ends up being like nothing. So why not just not have a soda tax, but also not have corn subsidies? I would be in favor of that, very much so.
Well, it sounds like it is really corrupt and it's screwy. But I just want to say that the soda pop companies, they're on their way out, just like tobacco companies are on their way out, no matter how much they fool people. They had to spend almost $2 million, and the city of Santa Fe spent like $140 per voter. That's how much it may come out to, like $140,000 to have just this election. It cost a lot of money. The city, the soda pop, the insulin, the Michael Bloomberg, we put a lot of money into this, and they're fighting a lot, and they're going to be in the losing battle because people are wising up. And so,
yes, so why not wait?
The soda pop, they're on their way out.
Well, why not wait? I mean, obviously...
Well, the biggest product
change,
that
right?
soda companies have is bottled water.
Yeah, so that market share is good. They're going to do just fine, right? They're large, very successful businesses, and if they can't make money off of soda anymore because no one wants to buy it, they're just going to shift to something else. I'd definitely rather not have all this money pouring in through tax dollars, right? Like my money going to try to tax these people, trying to get their money. I would rather just leave it alone, let the market decide, right? And that's definitely the best way of enforcing healthy decisions, is rather than through some sort of government mandate, some way to like take more money from people in some weird, roundabout, inefficient way. I'd rather just tell people, look, why don't you go for a bubbly water instead of a soda?
Well, the thing is, what you guys talking about is persuasion. Okay, so why don't you teach people and educate people that it is bad? Then why do we pull out the candy machines out of schools and the soda pop machines?
As far as I'm concerned, government schools shouldn't even exist.
Right.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Not
I'd be in favor of that. I mean, I was homeschooled though, so it doesn't really apply to me.
Right. Why don't Sarah? Why don't you pull the candy machines out of public schools? The reason is because we can't. The idea is that this school belongs to all of us, but that's the lie.
No. We did pull it out. We pulled it out 5 years ago in Albuquerque. We pulled out all the pop and the candy machines. Okay, it's like saying we're going to teach the kids, but we're going to have the candy machines at the school. That's exactly what you guys are saying. You know what I mean? That we'll make it, everybody make their own choices, but we'll make it so cheap and convenient, and the people are just going to be buying it. And this favors the soda pop companies.
Yeah, there's a real problem with it, but I'd like to give you some examples of what's worked in the past. So, for instance, the Stop Smoking campaigns, many of them, smoking is not as popular as it used to be, and it's not like there was a lot of money behind that. Yes, they did make the tobacco companies put some money towards it, but smoking's become unpopular because it's just unpopular. How about breastfeeding? Where's the money in breastfeeding? Well, there's a lot of money in Similac and these other, products. There's no money in breastfeeding, but breastfeeding has become very popular. It's because tastes change and people care about healthy solutions.
We're in the information age now. People are learning on their own. They're going and getting their own information. They're doing their own research. I've been in many houses here in New Hampshire, and I'm really loving New Hampshire. Part of it because I go to a lot of places that people don't have televisions in their houses. They don't watch TV. They don't trust it, or they have a TV and it's not hooked up to like cable or anything because they're not going to Fox and CBS.
Cut the cord.
And all that. So they're finding their own information, educating themselves.
Well, I will tell you, the tobacco, I fought tooth and nail. I collected signature cards for 3 months out in the freezing cold. Tobacco just didn't become an unpopular issue. A lot of people like myself sacrificed and worked very hard. And I worked calling the show a lot. I worked hard to get the sugar tax passed. It failed, but, the pop companies have to shell out a lot of money to fight it. And they're going to be, they have to keep spending money and fighting. They're going to lose eventually.
I agree with you. Too much. I think that sugary beverages are a scourge. Except for now and then, I'll have my root beer. I'll have one. But
in fact, I bought a root beer a month ago with Dash from a local wow.
What's that?
I bought a root beer with Dash, locally made, from a market last month.
Awesome. If people are forced into decisions, they usually resent it, and this is how black markets are created. If you're going to drive up the price on sugary beverages, people are just going to figure out ways to get around that, and ultimately, you don't know what the foreseeable future is. I can tell you that, well, in some cases, raising government taxes has worked. In other cases, people have figured out ways to get around it, and it's no big deal. I don't hate these companies. The fact is, the biggest sellers of water out there are soda companies. They're just distributors, beverage distributors, and yeah, they're bringing you water, great water, delivered in a convenient package, cooled and ready when you want it. Sure, there's great water from a tap too, but you've got to have a container to keep it in. It might not be the temperature you want it at. It may not be at the place you want it. My wife is a huge consumer of water. That's all she drinks. Man, 95% of the times I've seen her drink iced tea, and that otherwise, sometimes she makes, Jay, you've seen her make that green drink, which she takes vegetables in.
I want to try that sometime. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, puts it in the blender and makes that kind of thing. But even she, at times, will stop off at a convenience store and grab some water because, well, maybe we're on a long trip and we're unable to pack as much water as we would have liked or whatever. Sometimes you got to have these convenience things, and that's it. That's the way it is. I don't want to change people's. I don't want people to have to change their lives without their own consent. It's been Mark with you,
and Jay,
and Joel.
And you can check us out in the meantime at freetalklive.com. Joel, thanks for coming and explaining Dash to us. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
And you did great on the show.
I'd be happy to call in anytime.
Thank you. freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, May 3rd, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.86 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,256 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 2.2 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $1,466. Antiwar.com reports polling shows Democratic Party Korea candidate Moon Jae-in as an overwhelming front-runner in the upcoming presidential vote with more than double the support of any other candidate. He is, however, seen as far from ideal from the U.S. perspective, favoring diplomacy with North Korea as he does. The split between Moon and Trump is so dramatic, in fact, that Moon has felt the need to publicly warn the U.S. about meddling in the nation's politics, not just directly in the election itself, but also with policy decisions made in the lead-up to to the election. Indeed, Moon and his allies warn that the biggest problem is the U.S. rushing through measures in the lame duck government ahead of the election, noting that agreements on things like the THAAD anti-missile system and then hastily putting the system in place before any public hearing or environmental assessment were allowed to take place. Analysts even suggest that President Trump's talks of making South Korea pay for the THAAD might help Moon because he is seen as more likely to stand up to the U.S. on the deployment and doesn't feel particularly wedded to any agreements on the deployment which were made in the post-impeachment pre-election environment specifically to avoid real political debate. When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more. UPI reports the U.S. Department of Justice will not file charges against 2 police officers involved in the controversial shooting death of Alton Sterling in Louisiana last year. Video of the incident showed Sterling pinned to the ground by arresting officers before multiple shots were fired. The video prompted widespread protest and an investigation by the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division. Federal prosecutors, though, don't feel there's enough evidence to file civil rights charges against the officers in the case. Sources familiar with the department's decision confirmed the news on Tuesday. East Baton Rouge Mayor-President Sharon Weston Broome said she was appalled to hear of the DOJ's decision from news reports without a formal decision being relayed to the Sterling family first. Early on Tuesday, Michael T. Slager, a former South Carolina police officer who fatally shot motorist Walter Scott 2 years ago in another high-profile case, pled guilty as part of an agreement with federal prosecutors. Under that deal, Slager pled guilty to a single count of excessive force to deprive Scott of his civil rights. He is expected to be sentenced later this year. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the National Security Agency collected more than 150 million records of Americans' phone calls last year, even after Congress supposedly limited its ability to collect bulk phone records, according to an annual report issued on Tuesday by the top U.S. intelligence officer. The report from the Office of Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coates, was the first measure of the effects of the 2015 USA Freedom Act, which supposedly limited the NSA's ability to collect phone records and contacts of people the NSA and allied intelligence agencies suspect may have ties to terrorism. The report found that the NSA collected the 150 million records even though it had warrants from the secret Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court to spy on only 42 suspects in 2016, in addition to a handful identified the previous year. The report came as Congress faced a decision on whether to reauthorize Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which permits the NSA to collect foreign intelligence information on non-U.S. persons outside the U.S. and is scheduled to expire at the end of this year. The report did not address how frequently the FBI obtained information about Americans while investigating a foreign intelligence matter, however. On Friday, the NSA said it had stopped a form of surveillance that allowed it to collect the digital communications of Americans who mentioned a foreign intelligence target in their messages without a warrant. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Retail giant CVS is gearing up for floods of customers seeking the perfect meaningless piece of crap for their office gift swap. The company is making no secret that when it comes to wasting the obligatory $20 on a useless electronic dartboard or pretzel maker for someone you couldn't care less about, CVS is your best option.
Our incredible selection of worthless is just the thing that nobody wants. We guarantee you'll find nothing personal or unique in our store.
The company is offering massive discounts on otherwise unsellable items for holiday parties you don't even want to go to, like the $12 decorative lantern, which is expected to be a big hit with customers who grab the first thing they see when they walk in the store.
I really wanted to get something that said, I don't care about any of you people and I didn't put any effort into this.
CVS also has Hanukkah gifts for coworkers who you think might be Jewish, like candles and those little plastic net bags full of chocolate money.
This is the Onion News Network.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
Yeah, no fear, no fear, no fear, no fear, no fear here, and declare your independence. Me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the BEA Beautiful Studios of Freedoms of the Nest, FreedomsPhoenix.com. All right, we'll do better next hour. All right, in the third hour today, we'll go over our list today. In the third hour, we have John McAfee on. Remember John McAfee running for President of the United States of America as a libertarian, and, McAfee virus and McAfee. Well, he did, and we had talked about this before we had him on. I'm like, I need me a phone that is not surveilled. I need me encrypted secret communications if I got all my goodies, and I need to know because I can, and how come it isn't done? Make it go work. Well, all of a sudden we find out last week that's exactly what he's working on, and for about $1,100 you can get a smartphone that none of your business. And I'm like, yay! So we're going to be talking about that in the third hour. Yesterday we had on Dr. Judy Mikovits, and she had mentioned in passing that there is a movie, and we had talked about it before. She had mentioned it. Donna has gotten on the director of the movie, What About Me? Myalgic encephalopathy, one of those big words. We're going to have her say it for us. It's swelling of the brain tissues, I think. And we're going to talk about it because the vaccines that are causing all kinds of problems, there's several documentaries. I just, in the last year, since last September, been seeing, I'm going, man, this is well known. They knew. Those won't leave us alone. So somebody's got to stay after school. Well, it's always from a documentary. There's always going to be somebody who's going to tell the story in a compelling way to where we understand what's happening. And I'm going, all right, this is what I want to do. Susan Douglas, let me tell you real quick who she is. Now, she's born and raised in Wales. She's a dual citizen of the United States and the UK. She, has been, philanthropic adventures. She wants to help people in need, and that has evolved into Double D Productions. Now, Double D Productions is based in London and Los Angeles, and it produces world-class documentaries and features. Well, released today is What About Me? I'm going to butcher it here, but myalgic encephalomyelitis. We're going to have Susan help us with it. Susan, can you help me out?
Hi, good morning. Yes, it is encephalomyelitis. Myalgic encephalomyelitis.
Encephalomyelitis. Thank you. Well, what we're going to go ahead and do is how you came across this issue. Why was this important to you to even do it? And then I watched some of the trailers we have. Do you have the trailers up in today's archive, Donna? Yeah, so you go to today's archive for Wednesday, May 3rd, 2017. Into the archive there, you'll have the trailers. Now, Donna tells me that this is being released today. Tell us about it.
Yes, on Amazon Prime. It's being released throughout the USA today. So wonderful synchronicity here.
So an Amazon, if you got Amazon Prime, it's free. I mean, you don't have to, pay for it. So if you got Amazon Prime, your premiere, you can kind of watch it now.
You can watch it now. I don't know if it's free. I think generally there is a charge to stream video on Amazon.
Okay. Well, I mean, Amazon Prime is kind of like you get free shipping, and some of the featured movies you don't have to pay for. It's kind of a premium package that something. So if it's on Prime, maybe you might not have to pay for it, but you're gonna make some money on it, though. Somebody's paying somebody. so this. Well, when was this? Go and tell me from the beginning. Let's talk. How you became exposed to this issue, and then decided to do a documentary and hooked up with Judy. So tell me everything.
Right. Okay. Well, it started with a friend of mine, also a documentary filmmaker, was airing a film in London that I went to see, which was on the toxicity of airlines. And he'd become very ill. He was a pilot, and he was just explaining exactly the air that is fed through aeroplanes and what the damage it can do to a person. So that's what his documentary was about. So I was sitting watching it, and this strange woman, not strange, but I mean, this woman next to me, who was a stranger, turned around to me at the end of the movie. And I said to her, well, we don't know what we're breathing when we're up there, do we? And she said, well, we don't know what we're breathing when we're down here because I live in the country and the crop spraying is all around my house. And my son is very ill with ME. So I looked at her. I'm a documentary filmmaker, so I'm a curious person. And I asked her, I said, well, what is ME? I had never heard of it before. So she started to explain the illness, and it can take many levels. And he was a particularly bad case. And so it made me just curious to find out more about the illness, because she then went on to explain that there's 20 million sufferers in the world, and yet there's no cure. And then I discovered that the whole story of it, by interviewing different people involved in the ME world, just as a kind of a knowledge fact on what ME is. So I was in the middle of these inquiries. When,
don't leave us hanging. You got to tell me what it is. I mean,
Okay. Sorry. Okay. So basically, it attacks people at all different levels, but what's very common is that it starts off as a flu. So people take to their beds maybe, or stay at home away from work, thinking they have the flu. And, after a week or two, you expect to get better and life goes on. But with these people, they just didn't get better. In fact, they would get worse. And some, were at a level that they'd take to their beds, and then they'd never get out again for the rest of their lives. And that's about 25% of them. Others can recover to the point where they can go to work, but, that would take all of their energy. And they would have to come home and go straight to bed every night if they could get through the full workday.
Why? What's the ailment? I mean, is it a joint thing, a nerve thing, a brain thing, a stomach thing? What is it?
It's all of the above. As I say, it starts like a flu, but then it can go into joint stiffness, great tiredness, sickness of the stomach, headaches to a point of blinding. Some of the sufferers can't take light, they can't take sound, they are in darkened rooms. You name it almost. It's, part of the description of ME. It's a totally debilitating condition.
Okay, well, let's dissect the word here. Myalgic is what?
It's to do with the brain.
So myalgic is brain, and encephalomyelitis is inflammation or something of the nerves or something.
That's right. It travels down the spine.
Okay,
and
so it's a nerve thing.
Well, no, really, it's a nerve It's not a nerve thing to say because there is no diagnosis. That's the problem. And so without a diagnosis, you can't...
Insurance companies don't have to pay for treatment.
This is Donna Hancock with Silver Alliance Realty in Phoenix, Arizona, and I specialize in helping you find the real estate that fits your needs. Whether you are looking to purchase a home or a piece of land, whether it's in town or a rural setting, I can help you find exactly what you are looking for. Most of us are aware of the turbulent times ahead and will need to settle in a place that will suit our particular desires, not only to protect our families, but to thrive in the coming downturn of the economy. Unfortunately, that time is not in the future, but it is upon us, and if you are going to get ahead of the game, now is the time to prepare. Qualifying options for new loans are narrowing, the dollar is being devalued every day, and living expenses are on the rise. So I have created a useful tool on my webpage at donnahancock.com that will allow you to search for properties at your leisure that are of interest to you. Simply click on the Search MLS tab at the top of my webpage to begin your search today. Start preparing for your future, and when you are ready to move forward with your home or land buying purchase, we can work together to get you and your family ready to flourish. Feel free to call or text me at 602-828-1819. That's 602-828-1819, and let's get started today.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
Would odors, mold, and mildew describe your basement or crawl space? It doesn't have to be that way. Transform them into a fresh, healthy, usable one with the technologically advanced Wave Moisture Control Units. The computerized operation maximizes moisture control and also expels harmful radon, combustion gases, and numerous other pollutants. Dehumidifiers are old technology that do nothing for air quality and waste energy. Wave units are intelligent, self-monitoring, do not need maintenance, and will save you hundreds in electricity. Wave units are still running effectively over 15 years. They've been tested and installed in public and military housing and by property managers nationwide. Buy a unit now, and if your home is not fresher and drier, you can return it for a full refund for up to 12 months. What have you got to lose? Call now. 1-888-618-WAVE. 1-888-618-WAVE. Or visit mydryhome.com. That's mydryhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
Welcome back. Okay, what about me? M-E, all right? It's a 90-minute feature documentary. It takes the audience on a journey to investigate the debilitating condition of myalgic encephalomyelitis, known as ME or CFS, which affects 20 million worldwide. It sounds like some money to be made there. Somebody's got 20 million market of I'm not healthy. They're going to try something or create them for something. We'll see. We're going to talk about it. Previously, healthy, active, vibrant individuals find themselves racked with head-to-toe muscle pain, suffering from devastating memory loss, cognitive dysfunction, severe fatigue, and for many, left bedbound. There is a battle to find the cure, and we ask what constantly delays the finding of the cure for the illness. We have captured the revelations in our documentary to produce a story of intrigue, heartbreak, and hope. Now, this is, Dr. Judy, there's some hope. They think they know what causes it, and what causes it, Big Pharma doesn't want to, they don't want to take responsibility, and they got a law saying they don't have to. So this is, you come across this disease, you're looking, in the film, you're looking for, okay, how come we can't diagnose and see what happened to what? And then you start finding out that some people know more than others. Take it from there. Go.
Right, okay. Yes, in fact, they found that the British government have secret papers that they lock up, and on different aspects of government and health, and the duration it's locked up for is 30 years. There's a paper on ME which is locked up for 79 years, and so
of course
that makes you wonder why. And that is, it started off as a narrative documentary, but then it turned investigative because of the fact that there were so many strange associations with this whole film or inquiry. And, there was the patients I interviewed, on a daily basis, they would take about 40 pills a day. Oh. And so you multiply that by 20 million. So, that's 800 million pills a day, which are sold. So, it's big business. It's very big business. And there's doctors, country-type doctors, if a patient would go into them, they just didn't know how to handle the patient. And so then they would just say, well, put yourself together and go for a nice walk, and, you'll start to feel good, implying that it was totally all in their mind. And, and these people are ill, they're not mentally disabled, they are ill. And it's very, very hard to prove because there's no diagnosis. And so if there's no diagnosis, then it tends to go into the psychological camp. And that is how it's been treated. And, there's different treatments out there.
So they're like going to all the psychologists and psychiatrists, and here we got a freebie for you too. You got all these patients, go treat their emotional problems or their hypochondria or whatever. And, so there's a whole industry making bank on this illness right now, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And also, if it's a psychological illness as opposed to a biomedical illness, then, the governments don't have to pay out so much in compensation. It's less. And
okay.
so,
yeah, now this one thing, I want to go back to the United Kingdom because you have the 79. They keep doing that here in the U.S. Yeah, we're going to seal the documents 25 years. Maybe another 25. We don't want, people to know what we did, and so much of we're going to be liable for a bunch of stuff. United Kingdom, they do the same thing, but it's really just a directive from the monarchy. They just get and the Queen says, get over it. I rule you. Then you get the memo. So is it easier or more difficult to get this kind of information in the UK as opposed to the US, where they start getting about the same?
Well, I would assume it's all under governmental procedures, so I would assume it's the same, because it's not under the Queen, it's under the government. And so, yes, it's their decision. And
hey, wait. Before you go say the Queen and the government like they're two separate, I thought the Queen always trumped the government, did whatever the heck they wanted.
No.
So there's still some government can override the Queen. No, we're releasing these documents no matter what you say.
Right. Well, the Queen may have an opinion, but she can't dictate on procedures of government. It's just not two of the same.
Okay. So now you've gone through, some resistance on trying to get the information on this, and they keep trying to make it a psychological thing. When did you come to the conclusion that it's more medical, physiological, we got an agent going on here that we need to track down? When did that happen?
Well, I mean, I was just puzzled throughout because, there's, as I say, there's no proof at all that these people were mentally ill. They had very good jobs. They were enjoying life. Why on earth would they want to all of a sudden take to their beds and say, I'm not getting out again? And none of it made sense to me. And so I was on that trajectory when out of Nevada in 2009 comes the announcement that a scientist in the Whitmore Peterson Institute has found the answer, that she has found a retrovirus, which was the third retrovirus after HIV, AIDS, and she announced that it was called XMRV and that it was present in people with ME. So this was, it was world-shattering because this illness has been around for over 100 years at least. They suspected that Florence Nightingale had ME when, they looked at it retroactively just to see what her problem was. The very well-known nurse Florence Nightingale.
Yeah, she was a nurse that treated a lot of, I think she wound up dying in, a sanatorium off of New York out in an island of she's in a room or something.
Well, she was the woman that started the nursing movement, and she was tending to soldiers in the Crimean War, and then she came back to Britain and started to feel unwell, and took to her bed, and from there on she never recovered, and they called her which was unbelievable, the world's